Good morning, kids. It is Friday. It is June 16th. It's the middle of the year, like almost exactly. Paul is still getting dressed. I'm not even sure why he's bothering, because what you have on is like long underwear underneath, like an undershirt anyway. It's like, so what's the point? Might as well just whip that off. No, I'm just kidding. Good morning, Paul. How are you doing? That's why I said, no, I'm just kidding. You have to say it real quick before it actually hits the floor.
We'll require some more tips for that first.
Yeah. I'm sorry I missed the workup. So you people out there in YouTube land, these guys get together and they talk about what is going to be spoken of on any given show, and I'm usually late, and I just got in at the intro, so I have no idea what they've got set up, but I'll find out, right?
You'll find out with the audience.
And me sometimes. Indeed, I know exactly how you feel. A lot of times I'm finding out as we go along too. Also joining us,
my good friends here, including Culture.
These are his friends. That's right. Culture Casino, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing fantastic. It's been fun. I'm gearing up to record a review videos because I saw a movie so others don't have to. But I'm sure we're going to talk about all kinds of movie stuff today.
Are you talking about the one that I had like 3 aneurysms over last night?
Yeah. But they were well-deserved aneurysms. I mean, let's be fair.
We'll get into it. Andre's also here this morning. How you doing, Andre?
I'm doing good.
Don't be so goddamn chipper, Jesus.
Yeah, but I actually, you know what I did last night? For a change,
that's between you and your wife. I don't want to hear about it. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, well, I'll just say that I actually slept last night, and this is
wow. Well, there's that too. That's almost as good as sex once you're past 40. It's like sleep, sex, sleep, sex.
One does not have to rule out the other. But
can we have sleepy sex and then sleep?
Yeah, that's the order right there. But anyway, no, that's actually why I missed out on the Flash Roundtable over at Midnight's Edge After Dark. I was asleep, and because of that, since I'm not sleep deprived this morning or this afternoon, as it would be, I'm feeling good. So today we'll talk about, of course, the Flash. More people have seen it, and we'll even talk some Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, because myself and Chato have seen that. And we'll, of course, talk some Disney, because Disney has made another very high-profile change of staff, namely their CFO. A loyal Bob Iger acolyte is now out the company. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the causes for it and everything related to it. So we do have a packed show for you. Everyone, please smash that like and help share this stream. Let everyone know that we are live. We have a couple of super chats. We have a couple of messages to go through. But before we get into the show proper, as people are rolling in, Mr. Chato, what did you think about the first episode of season 2 of Star Trek: Strange New World?
It was immensely stupid. And it's too bad that the people who write Strange New Worlds, basically on the same team as Picard, didn't talk to each other about stealing the Enterprise.
Yeah, because spoilers, what happens in the first episode of Star Trek Picard is that they find themselves in a position where they need to steal the Enterprise for the 15th time for the audience, for the first time for this particular crew. So then it's a matter of how they do it. I
really hate that plot point.
It does get old. I will say that they found an interesting Deus Ex Machina way of doing it in this time. That it'll be interesting to see what they work with.
There's just so many elements of this that just drove me nuts. The basic idea of it, I didn't mind. The mining colony that they share, and a group of renegade Klingons and federalists, not federalists, yeah, whatever. The Federationists getting together to cause a war, to increase the price of the dilithium.
I did like that. That was clever.
Yeah.
That was some great social commentary. Basically, what it's saying is the enemy of this season of Star Trek Strange New World is the military-industrial complex.
Yep.
That's the villain of the season. And it's something that goes beyond the Klingons and the Federation, because the deep state of both are united in this matter. Having another war would be really good for business for some select few. And that billions will have to die, well, that's just a price worth paying for those few.
It was more anti-capitalist in a kind of more childish, I thought, I mean, there's a difference between the globalist economic control versus companies that just want to make money. And I got the sense that the writers of the show were just against people who make money.
Yeah, there were some good ideas there, but
yes, lots of good ideas, terribly executed, huge long expositions from Carol Kane, giant exposition from Spock at the very end as to how he figured out what the whole plan was, and just told it to us. I mean, the writing was atrocious, but lots of
well, the writing, they can the writers cannot write any more intelligent than they are themselves.
That's right. And what did you think about the IT guys, the white IT guys who came on board to do the maintenance, and the girl bosses telling them off?
I thought that was completely, utterly ridiculous, because for those that haven't seen it, the Enterprise is in space dock for a refit and everything like that. And here then comes the people who are going to do the systems upgrade and stuff like that. And then you have girl boss Uhura that says, "No, this is my station. Get the hell off! Like this is my station." And they're like, "Dude, we are doing some mandatory upgrades here. Now, this is my station. I need to listen to radio." I'm like, okay, you are at space dock. Ain't gonna come shit in for you. You are in space dock. There's 10 other people listening to the radio. They don't need you to do it. So please, just get your butt away from your desk for 10 minutes while we do this. Like they literally said, we just need 10 minutes.
We're installing Outlook 5.3. Go away. and then Ortega saying that she herself rejigged the console so she gets twice the performance out of the Starship. And
Ortega, by the way,
that's not standard.
Yeah, Ortega, by the way, has not yet gotten an episode. We know literally nothing about the character Ortega.
Ortegas, I believe, but
yes. Well, that one.
Yeah, that one. Yes, well. Yeah. We know that she knows how to rewire a console, and I dare hand her even a present-day iPhone and tell her to rewire that thing. Yeah. It's like
we know she's cheerful, and we know she's a girl boss, but beyond that, we haven't learned a single thing about her in any episodes. She's literally just bubbly, and that's it.
Yeah, she went after the poor chubby bearded Linux programmer. You're like, the IT
that hit the nerve.
Yeah, the nerd. Well, and the thing is, I'm in IT, right? I mean,
well, that's what I mean. That hit a nerve, didn't it?
It really did. Yeah. Yeah, I found that to be insufferable. So, yeah, the basic idea was good, but then the way they got to it was terrible.
Yeah. Someone else who likely thinks this is unsufferable is the rest of our panelists who haven't seen and have no intention of seeing Star Trek Strange New World. So I'm just going to summarize this discussion by saying that Season 2, Episode 1 of Star Trek Strange New World was pretty insufferable, and I do understand that Robert Meyer Burnett has seen many more episodes, and he did not seem too impressed. So I don't think it's going to get any better. And with that, we're going to get into some of these super chats before we get into the topics of today proper. Everyone, please smash that like, help share the stream. And Callum Lyle starts us off with $5 Australian saying, What's your opinion on that Kong anime by Powerhouse? Even though it's canon to the Monsterverse, I'm amazed that the studio is still there after Tila. Tom, you're the King Kong fan here. Have you heard about the Kong anime by Powerhouse? Because I have to admit that I have not.
I haven't. Is that the one that's coming to? I think I've seen the thing for it. I can't remember if it's HBO Max or Netflix.
Probably Netflix.
Yeah, but this one I believe
from the HBO Max.
I was gonna say Warner's behind this one because this is their side of it.
But Powerhouse, like they do a ton of work for Netflix. That's just why.
Yeah, I have not seen anything in action, but I saw like the design. The design looked pretty good. But I think there might even be a teaser trailer out there that I haven't got a chance to see yet. Look, they were just animating what they were told to animate for Tila, the Tila show. Because wasn't that the same crew that worked on like a couple other shows that were on Netflix prior to that?
They did the Castlevania, for instance.
Yeah, and the animation, there wasn't nothing wrong with the animation. If anything,
wrong with the animation.
The He-Man and the animation and design were the highlights. It was everything else that was garbage, right? Like, so. No, as far as that goes, they're one of the better animation studios out there, as far as I know. So
exactly. And as for me, I'm not a big fan of the Monsterverse in the first place. Honestly, there's not a single one of those projects there that I really enjoyed. The one I enjoyed the most was actually Kong Skull Island. Beyond that, I don't like that particular shared universe. So I'm not too interested in any event. Anyone else have any strong thoughts on Kong anime by Powerhouse or
none? I have none.
Blanking out.
No. I one thing I didn't see today, which I think is supposed to be out today, is the Babylon 5 trailer. The animation. Yeah, that to me, I forgot to see. I might watch it while you guys are talking, but I'm really excited about that. This, not so much.
Yeah, me on the other hand, I'm not even quite sure what a Babylon 5 is. I know it's bad. I'm a geek who doesn't watch it, but anyway.
I don't know how Godzilla fits into kind of an anime. Although, I mean, he is
actually Godzilla's had a few already. King Kong, this would be his first anime though.
Yeah.
Well, I like that they're doing Skull Island. I mean, to be fair,
well, it's just so you know it's attached to the
right.
I don't like all those human characters in front. Those kids, they have me worried.
That's what's.
I mean, you know what I wish that would be like the tribal people living there, like in an adventure without Westerners. But it looks like they're like pirates or something from like a long time ago. So that could be cool. If this is something that sets like 200 years ago or something, that could be cool, I guess. And there's a Netflix logo, so yeah, Netflix.
Yeah, I guess it is on Netflix, yeah. And then I see all the, I mean, a couple of these kaijus have already made their appearance in the movies. So.
Yeah, like that's what I thought. Since Powerhouse, I don't know if they're owned by Netflix or they just do a ton of work with Netflix, but I associate them with Netflix, which is why that's the first thing I jumped to. But anyway, good for Warner, because that means there's some kind of licensing thing where they actually make money on this.
And then Callum Lyle says, what's your opinion? Oh, we got this one already.
Yeah.
Then Waltman says, okay, I'll say it. Why didn't the CFO take a sabbatical leave of absence 3 or 4 months ago in her husband's medical issues? Why quit before earnings call, medical or not? Something's up and you'll never convince me otherwise. And that's fair, Waltman. We're going to talk a little bit about this today, but I highly doubt too many of us are going to get...
We can get into it right away.
Yeah, I mean, honestly... When it comes to stuff like this, I hate getting too conspiratorial. Because he may have been in care for 3-4 months, but that doesn't mean he's not taking a turn for the worse or something like that, to where she may have to concentrate more on that or something like that. Again, I don't want to. When it comes to things like this, I don't like to conspiratize, a family medical situation or a personal medical situation. But Andre, why don't you take us through what's really going on here? So
let's take us through the original narrative here. This is something that was broken on Deadline Hollywood, where the headline is Disney CFO Christine McCarthy stepping down for family medical leave. Company vet Kevin Lansbury named interim replacement. So not permanent replacement, they're going to be a permanent one, but of course they need a CFO instantly. Christine McCarthy, a significant figure in Disney senior management team in recent years, is stepping down and taking a medical leave of absence from the company, and replaced by veteran Disney executive Kevin Lansbury, the EVP and CFO of Disney Parks. So basically, he came from the same division as Chapek, and he will serve as the company's interim CFO effective from July 1st. This was announced by Bob Iger. McCarthy will continue as strategic advisor to the company during her leave and will assist with the process of identifying and onboarding a long-term successor to ensure a smooth and successful transition.
That's something you normally don't get. So that to me kind of tells me that it's a little bit more. This is not like something that is coming from above or somebody was pressuring her. I don't think, if that makes sense.
Now this could be either way. And then the change in the executive suite comes as Disney is completing a significant round of cutbacks, with 7,000 employees being laid off as the company pursues a goal of $5.5 billion in cost savings. McCarthy has also been overseeing the management of expenses for the company's streaming operations. Streaming has drawn increased scrutiny by Wall Street in recent months, with the company conceding it had been overly aggressive in its efforts in 2020 and 2021 to reach global scale and compete more directly with Netflix. Nearly a year ago, McCarthy expressed her concerns to the company's board of directors about missteps by former CEO Bob Chapek. Which missteps? Including his aggressive streaming subscriber targets. In November 2022, Chapek was ousted and Iger returned to the corner office for his second stint running the company. And of course, she was instrumental in that process. And then comes all the quotes about Iger talking about how amazing she is. So I'm going to skip over that completely. Then they talk about how amazing interim CFO Kevin Lansbury is. I'm going to skip over that too, and exactly what he is going to do. And then it's just a summary of her career at Disney. McCarthy joined Disney in 2000 as treasurer and became CFO in 2015. Prior to joining Disney, she was CFO of Imperial Bancorp from 1997 to 2000 and held various executive positions at First Interstate Bancorp from 1981 to 1996. She is a board member at Procter & Gamble and FM Global and is a trustee of the Carnegie Institution for Science. Just for shits and giggles, let's see what the industry insiders are saying at the Deadline Hollywood message board. I see the creatives are in control again and flying this company into the second tower. Sell, 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 says Anonymous on the Deadline Hollywood boards.
Ooh, that's nasty.
Yeah, and again, the people posting here, that's what, you want a good laugh and see what the industry really thinks? Head to the Deadline Hollywood boards, because that's where the industry talks are talking. So these are people literally working with these people. Looks like we're getting the Reddit cast-offs like this fucking psycho. This is a quote from another Anonymous, presumably a Hollywood insider. And then Jim, so slightly less Anonymous, says, man, the comments here are really freaking disgusting. And no duh answers, you must be new here. So yeah, it's not a lot of sympathy to be found in the Deadline Hollywood boards, which is something that many in Hollywood are fearful of. So culture, let's hear your thoughts on this first. What do you think of this? And also, can you tell more about the story about the cancer in her family and especially with her husband? Because that was given as the official reason for her leaving in other outlets, because Tom has a very good point here.
Yeah.
Under normal circumstances, it's very natural to think, oh wow, in this time with Disney just being bombarded from every angle, and this is a person who at one point was groomed to succeed Bob Iger as the CEO. That's absent here. But this is the person who was groomed to take over from him 2 years hence.
Indeed, yeah. I mean, look, Christine's got a history in her family, and maybe reportedly of herself, with a history of cancer. Medically, she's had a lot of these types of issues in the past. They were handed. They were handled in a completely different way is probably the best way to say it. This is the timing here. A lot of people are very suspect of, and I mean, I can understand why. She understands where all the financial bodies are buried. So it's very easy to look at the things that are going on, the things that are surrounding this situation, and make some assumptions that perhaps there are some things that she'd rather not be caught up in. Now, either way, if it comes down to the health, her husband's health, it would definitely, you'd have to give her a lot of sympathy and empathy. But if what we find in the Wall Street Journal is an accurate situation where, she and others have clashed because of the very daunting financial challenges that exist for Disney right now, including their, lack of cash on hand, et cetera, and, the financial steps that they've taken that aren't actually going to remedy the situation that they have in acquiring Hulu. I feel like there's a lot missing here to the story, and that this maybe does two things for Christine. It kind of expedites her exit, since she's probably been slashed off the list for being the next CEO. And it also kind of isolates her and Disney from a lot of financial revelations that she has been involved in that could or may be very embarrassing for Disney. There's a lot to this, but she does, again, I mean, turning it back to the medical situation and taking it on face value. There's, cancer is a serious thing. I mean, in my family, we've dealt with it many, many times. And, there are times when stepping away is probably the healthiest thing to do. So,
yeah. But it says right here, Disney finance chief clashed with top executives before stepping down. Yeah. This is the headline of the Wall Street Journal, with the byline, company says Christine McCarthy is taking a family medical leave. Move catches associates by surprise.
Yeah.
Mr. Chato, with a headline like that, did the cancer come really, really sudden? Is that something we should accept, or could there be more to this? Again, not to be conspiratorial, sure, but with a headline like that, the Wall Street Journal is kind of asking you to be.
It's an unfair headline, and I think it's personal in a way that's irrelevant. It's not like you should be allowed to quit without giving reasons. And then, like, cancer, almost, I hate to, if you're going to emphasize that is now entering into my dog ate my term paper territory. Do you understand what I mean?
I don't know. I lost you on the last part.
My dog ate my term paper, like my dog ate my assignment. Like,
right. Well, I guess I'm trying to figure. Okay, because this is what I interpreted. You just said you're equating like an excuse like that to an excuse like my husband's dying of cancer.
Right. No. What he's saying is that it's an excuse, kind of like my dog ate my homework in a given situation.
Don't see them on the same level. Like claiming your grandma just died for the 5th time is much different than dealing with a dying spouse.
No, but I like, my point is, why mention it? Like, it's,
to be fair, she didn't, because the official narrative from Deadline Hollywood, this is what was told to the industry. The official statement that we just went through from Deadline Hollywood really doesn't go too much into that. It's the Wall Street Journal that has done additional
That's
digging.
what I was saying, is like I wasn't going to get too into the weeds with this until I seen this headline.
Yeah.
Because I'm not saying you're wrong so much, Paul, but I just don't want to be quick to go, oh, she's full of shit, she's using his excuse.
No, and I'm not saying that. And I'm not
saying that it's not Paul, it's Wall Street Journal.
Yes.
That's implying that by putting it in the byline, move catches associates by surprise. You know what that is? That is the Wall Street Journal. This is not us, because all of us here, we were ready to go with this is the official narrative that was being put out there. There is she has had her bouts with cancer. Her husband has had bouts with cancer. Now it has come back with vengeance. Now we just back off and let her spend the time that she needs with her family in their golden years. That is the position all of us were ready to take. But then the Wall Street Journal, they come and they say in the byline, move catches associates by surprise. So this is on them, because that completely shatters the narrative put forth by Deadline Hollywood.
But you're dealing with two different narratives here, right? You're dealing with the high school newspaper that is Hollywood, right? Whether it be Deadline or Variety or whatever. That's they're a trade publication. These are the people that, you know, they're one book away from being famous as far as they know. And so when they write for that industry paper, because that's what that is, it's just it's a rag. They write for that on the daily, and they're going to give you the bare surface level stuff, the Hollywood speak, right? Whereas when you transfer over to the Wall Street Journal, these people actually do the job of a journalist. They'll actually pick up the phone. They'll call people. Wait, hang on. They'll actually call people, right? Their sources, the executives that are in the company, and say, "Hey, what's going on over there? Is everything okay? You know, we're doing a piece right now on what's happening as far as your stability of your leadership, and it looks like with Christine leaving, there's something going on." And I assure you that, speaking on conditions of anonymity, some of their sources gave them actual information. So I'm going to say that with Joe Flint and Mark Maurer, that they actually did their homework, which is, you know, a little bit different than doing homework for Hollywood. You understand what I'm saying? That's why we have now reason to question the official Hollywood narrative versus the business narrative that's actually playing out in the background. I think that's the best way to say that.
Exactly, because the Deadline Hollywood, they gave the official reason, the official story, which was that this is just a family leave, and she has graciously offered to be there to assist in the background while they find a permanent replacement. Well, that's not a single person here was going to challenge that, but But then you have the Wall Street Journal that did. Yes, sorry, Chato.
I'm just saying, like, that's the only thing that has a sticking point to me, because even, you know, Deadline has this article here that's kind of implying some other things too. And I'm not saying it's not the case, right? Let's just say that up front. My whole thing is everybody else who's stepped away from the Disney company in the last few years, they have not been sticking around to help out like she is. They have been shown the door and swiftly exited. Right? They didn't stick around for anything. They didn't, you know, and here in this article, they even say how basically this seems to have taken people outside the industry by surprise. But it sounds like Iger's even already commented on this. So I don't know, unless this is an older comment, it could very well be. So that Bob Iger called McCarthy one of the most admirable financial executives in America, saying her impact on, I think this is an older statement here, but, I'm not so quick to like say that it's, because that's the thing, is she wasn't given time off to seek other employment, right? Like, it's more so she's just probably retiring and dealing with this while also still dealing with Disney. I don't want to be quick to say that there's something nefarious going on, is all I'm saying. I don't think she's as out of the picture as we think she is, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Oh, no. I mean, it was made very clear that she was also going to help select her successor. That makes an awful lot of sense. And again, you can do an awful lot, you know, if you step away and you become an outside advisor, because again, that's part of the story here. And I look, I would, as much as it's terrible, I think I would rather prefer that she was stepping away to take care of family stuff, right? Than have any other nefarious, things playing out in the background. And again, as Andre pointed out, I was willing to accept, what's coming out of the trade paper, and just wishing her and her family the best, because that's what you're supposed to do in civil society. But with the Wall Street Journal's coming at it from a different perspective, it does draw a question. I'm gonna say this, cancer's a heck of an excuse to take time away from working, if not just quit altogether. So this is just what it is. As far as the financial aspects of this goes, this is coming at a terrible time for Disney, for whatever reason that she's stepping away. And if it is because of, again, all these skeletons that we know are placed about, there's, which again, I really don't want to lean into, but we're being fed two contradicting narratives to a certain extent. Would you not agree?
Absolutely. I mean, that's the thing that stands out here, because here you, again, Deadline Hollywood, official narrative, Wall Street Journal challenges that official narrative. I was ready to accept the official narrative from Deadline Hollywood. Seems very clear, very thought out, but it just got a torpedo in the bow from the Wall Street Journal. And I don't think that they would write what they did without having done their due diligence and research.
Yeah.
Given Disney's, to me, this is a case where both things can be true at once. She has obviously had multiple bouts with cancer before, both herself and in her family.
Yeah.
Maybe it's gotten worse now, and that is why she decides to step back.
Yeah.
This does not have to be in conflict with the financial situation in Disney is so dire, and she was part of it getting there, and she's no longer wanted there. I mean, this is a place where both those two actually align pretty perfectly, where it's a mutual decision that now is a good time for me to step back for health reasons, and it's a good time for the company for you to step back for health reasons. If you catch my drift.
Yeah, I can see that as a more of a scenario, but just the fact that she's like, I get it. They might just be saying it publicly to save face that she's going to be involved in this, that, and the other. But to me, that's the only point, and I don't want to be quick to dogpile on somebody, especially when cancer's involved and shit like that.
That I do believe that she will have some kind of role, because she has been so instrumental in Iger's return and everything. And people like this, they don't just go away. I do not believe for a second that she was like shit canned and she's gone now. No. I do believe that she may have been told that now is the time for you to officially step back, especially before the next earnings call, because by then we need to be able to show that human sacrifice has been made. At the same time, you've been here the whole time. You helped Iger come back. You're an acolyte. We'll take care of you. So of course, you'll have some say in your replacement and everything, because you still know where the bodies are buried. Again, this is a case where basically literally everything can be true at once. And at the same time, Disney's financial situation is a complete and utter disaster. The one fundamentally responsible for that is Bob Iger. But McCarthy should never have allowed it to get to the position where it is now.
Yeah, I mean, again, unless culture or Paul thinks otherwise, I'm just at this point where I'm not ready to go like, oh, here it is, like another one bites the dust kind of thing. This one doesn't feel to me like a swift exit like the other ones did.
Yeah. No, this again, to me, this feels like both things are true at once.
Well, and again, Tinder Warrior pointed out in the chat, and I think it's accurate to say that her contract was up next year, so she was going to have to, negotiate anyway. And I mean, look, I think Andre's right. I think both things can be true at the same time. I think that you know, it's best for her to move off of, you know, this situation. The job is people pointed out in the chat and elsewhere, this job is incredibly stressful. You're managing the finances of a conglomerate, you know, that is, you know, vertically integrated, that is just an absolute behemoth. And, you know, you've been getting things wrong. And, you know, the amount of things you're getting wrong is only increasing, not quite exponentially, but, you know, more often than not, you're getting it wrong financially. And I'm going to introduce an idea here that maybe sounds conspiratorial, but perhaps her stepping out of this before they are forced to, the judge is forced to reveal the names of all of the people that were involved in that little crypto trading scheme. You know, I think there could be some legs to that as well. I mean, Disney's been exposed in a lot of various areas financially, and this is starting, you know, like I said, if she's got stuff going on with her family and she's got all these other responsibilities, you know, my suspicion is it's all the same thing. And
double whammy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Where basically both narratives are true at once. So the Deadline Hollywood narrative isn't necessarily untrue. There's just more to it. And Wall Street Journal just may have given us a peek into that more to it. Either way, for Disney, I would say that this is actually good news. Because like, not to be disrespectful or anything like that, but the fact of the matter is that Disney is in a terrible position right now. And the Hulu buyout that they will be forced to participate in, that's actually an existential threat for the company. And all of this happened on, first and foremost, Iger's watch, but every single one of Iger's enablers shares responsibility for where the company is currently at. Christine McCarthy is one of those enablers. She was one of those that made it possible for him to buy Fox, which is the worst acquisition Disney ever did. We can say that now. And that's also one that was instrumental in them getting in the Hulu hot waters where they are right now. So any kind of change in the leadership from those that really have driven the company into the ground is a good move, I would say. But of course, it's not going to help before Iger leaves, and quite a few people in the board, because it took a lot of effort from a lot of people to get Disney into its current predicament. And those people will all have to be replaced, presumably by better ones, before the situation gets any better. So it'll be interesting to see what happens here. And we have Valiant Renegade in the chat. If you have the opportunity to hop in, you're of course most welcome to. And Valiant says, I think she just said, this isn't worth it. I'd rather be with my ailing husband. And she amicably resigned. The fact that she's agreed to stay and help with Successor is very telling. And yeah, as I said, this is a case where both things can be true at once.
Yeah, that's the part that stuck out to me too, Valiant. I mean, because like I said, when they exited Chapek, everybody else in these situations so far has been showed the door and not even given a chance to think about it. What was the name of that one dude that got ousted during Chapek's reign?
Peter Rice.
Yeah, Peter Rice. He was another one that was just like, see ya. You know, nothing about a successor or anything like that. Victoria Alonso, same fucking thing.
Yeah, but this would never happen because this woman, she's Iger's inner circle.
I know, and that's the reason why I'm not so quick to another reason why I'm not so quick to just be like, oh yeah, it's definitely an excuse.
Yeah,
I mean, unless they're getting her out of the line of fire, that's a totally different scenario. Because I mean, there's people bringing up some of the FTX stuff in the chat, and again, as far as the company goes, the company has not found, at least they haven't publicly stated there's any connections. Now, people, that's a different story. Bob Iger's name was mentioned. I would imagine Christine McCarthy might actually have some ties to FTX and stuff like that. I'm not saying that has anything to do with this. I'm just saying it might be a clean and easy way to get somebody out of the situation that, you know, out of the line of fire or whatever, like I was saying. But anyway.
Well, and again, I mean, the judge in that particular case, I'm going to not refer to it directly, but in that particular case has really been hiding the people that are on that list. So, you know, that's incredibly telling that we have not found out all of the exposure that's there, whether it's individuals or companies. You know, that is a very strange thing that's being done in service of some people that have obviously got some very deep pockets. I don't want to.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It's so good that the courts will protect the freedom of those corporate overlords that are and stuff like that. We should all feel good about that, I think. Valiant Renegade also says Bob Iger would not want to remove a CFO right now.
Right.
It creates investor angst at the worst time. This was likely entirely her decision to step aside.
That's what I was thinking.
Oh,
yep.
Well, yeah. Very good point.
Valiant and I are on the same page on this one, it seems like. But like, again, we don't know the specifics. I don't want to get too conspiratorial at the same time just because of the fragile situation, I guess.
The reason we even discuss anything else is the Wall Street Journal or Washington, the publication that challenged the narrative. So, yeah. But no, I'm in agreement that at the very least, it's a mutually agreed upon decision that I think we can agree on. And just to end that topic with a related super chat, GEC812 says for $5 I'd trust the financial press over the gossip news sites based on readership. Investors need correct information to make profitable decisions. Yeah, that is true to a point. Keep in mind, though, that even the financial press, they don't write anything for the benefit of the average little saver with some investments. There's typically some incentive behind their big stories as well. That just needs to be kept in mind. But I do see and agree with that point as a general thing. With that, let us get back to these other super chats before we start talking some box office and new movies. What say you all?
Yeah, because I've been arguing with nitwits online all morning about the stupid box office. Oh my fucking God. So we'll get into that.
I'm all in. Now I'm muting myself again.
All right, cool.
Thank you, Paul. I know you're dealing with a bunch of construction and whatnot going on over there, or hubbub or all that stuff. So thank you for putting up with both sides of this.
No worry, I'm bubbing my hub.
Did you say you're bubbing your hub?
Yes.
Is that like computer talk?
He's nodding.
No, it's just like that's the opposite of hubbing your bub.
Oh, you can go to jail for that in public.
Yeah, I was about to say, like, yeah, okay, Boober, let's just move on here.
Callum Lyle says, what happened to KK at the LA premiere? Oh, was there an indie premiere and she wasn't there?
No, something even more fun happened. This was covered by, I believe it was Echo Base Network, that were the first to pick it up. It's quite a fun story, actually, because what happened is that it was, I do believe it was the LA premiere of Indiana Jones and the Pick of Destiny. And then you have Steven Spielberg, who is on the stage. Again, I'm just now retelling the story from Echo Base Network. So kudos to Echo Base. Head on over to Echo Base to watch the whole clip and tell him we sent you.
Is this where he supposedly wasn't too flattering to her or something like that? I didn't get to see the clip yet, but I heard about it. Yeah.
Right now, because what happened? What happened
then
is that Steven Spielberg, I'm just going to move my mic here. Give me 1 second. Their second has gone. So basically, they're on the stage. They're about to introduce the movie. And then you have Steven Spielberg, a central figure in all things Indiana Jones. Even though he did not direct this movie, he was still there. And he then talks about the people who are vital to Indiana Jones. And so he's on stage and he says, the first person who is vital to Indiana Jones is George Lucas. Without him, there would be no Indiana Jones. Massive applause, come up here, George, right? That kind of thing. Audience goes wild. And then with George Lucas up on stage, he says, but there's another who's vital to Indiana Jones. And that is Harrison Ford. Without him, there would be no Indiana Jones. Harrison, come up here. And Harrison comes up on stage. And the crowd goes wild. And the observant people like Echo Base Network, they also see that Kathleen Kennedy, she's part of that crowd goes wild. She's there clapping and everything. And then Spielberg goes, but there's a third person who has been here from the very beginning, who is instrumental in pulling all of this together, so vital to the rhythm of all of these movies. And then you see Kathleen Kennedy whispering to her husband right next to him, he's talking about me, he's going to call me up, I'm going to get so adored by everyone. And then Spielberg continues, the one who gave rhythm to everything, the composer. And the crowd goes wild as the legendary composer of all Indiana Jones movies comes up. All goes wild except for Kathleen Kennedy, who is now not clapping. Instead, she's looking rather angry. She's fuming. And she's doing the opposite of clapping. She's quite perturbed because she was not given the respect that she thought she was owed. So that's what happened. Nothing really happened to her, but by her body language, apparently, you could tell that she felt quite scorned and smited.
Kathy claps.
This is great.
Who's Indiana Jones, Harrison Ford?
Kathy claps.
Yeah, I love this.
Whose is the glue to all 5 of these films?
The person who is the glue to all 5 of these films. Well, surely at this point, look at Kathy must be thinking, well, he's going to say my name. Yeah, she's been around since Raiders of the Lost Ark, and she's the only one other
Still
than
getting
Ford himself,
coffee.
really, and of course the person he's about to introduce that have actually been there for each and every film. Now with this 5th one coming out under the Disney banner.
It gave us all of our rhythm and all of our melody, the great maestro, John Williams.
See, you know what I would have done?
No applause. No
clapping.
applause from Kathy. She stands there. Frank is already running
Frank
out
is
the
running
door.
off.
Frank Marshall, let's go. Let's leave.
Oh, see, if I was Steven Spielberg, my 5th person would have been the
No,
guy
look,
who drives
Spielberg
the
could have
honey
said-
wagon.
No, and I think Valiant's spot on here. I think Frankie's like, come on, let's get off the fucking stage. And she's like, no, this is supposed to be my moment. And he's like, bitch, get off the stage. They don't care about you. Like, I
think you're right, Tom.
I think you're
Frank,
entirely on the money there.
Frank is telling her to go.
To know that the moment this is about Kathleen Kennedy is the moment this comes out and flops. Then it's about Kathleen Kennedy. Then it's not going to be George Lucas blamed. It's not going to be Harrison Ford blamed. It's certainly not going to be John Williams blamed, but it's going to be Kathleen Kennedy blamed. Then it's all about her.
Yeah,
So
Marshall is
let's
Jada
throw her up the
Pinkett
fire.
Smith. Boy, this is hilarious.
Yeah, I wish there was a little closer image on her face. That'd be awesome.
But I mean, like I said, if I was there, then the 5th person I would have mentioned would be the food truck.
Yeah, people had to eat on the making of this movie. So.
Yeah, that's right. Then finally, the person who's glued all these movies together was Louis, who drove the food truck.
I think if they were to say that, then Kathy wouldn't be able to contain herself.
No.
Then she'd be like, hey, at least I made the coffee.
Yes.
And that was still bad too, woman.
Someone should do another version of this where Spielberg does 20 different people and never gets to Kennedy.
That would be hilarious. Yes. And she keeps acting like my turn's next. And then no.
Yes.
And she gets progressively more pissed.
Yeah. Or she just doesn't notice it. Like she's going to take a crumb, like whatever crumb is remaining.
Well, that's just before the end. And then when it gets near the end and she realizes it ain't happening, that's when she throws a fit.
Yeah.
Like she's like Lucy basically in Charlie Brown at that point. It's just like,
well, wasn't there an episode in Mary Tyler Moore where it was Ted Baxter thought he was going to win the award for
yes, that's exactly it. Yes.
That's what this feels like, where she's already standing up, ready to take the bow, accept the award.
Yeah.
And, ooh, ooh, ooh.
Oh, Lord.
Oh, now this, I don't think you could insult someone worse than this. This is a Hollywood slapback of the ages.
And we're not even really reading anything into this. She is the one who doesn't clap, right? So that's the thing. And you can tell, and Frank is literally dragging her off the stage. If he had one of those big canes with the hook, he couldn't have pulled her off any faster. Like he's trying to get her all going, moving.
I mean, I think Frank was trying to find some black comedian to slap, but which will remain nameless. And it was, you know what? Even if she clapped, this was calculated. Yeah, you just know this was done on purpose by Spielberg. This was delicious. Absolutely the most fun I think I've had in a long time with regards to Lucasfilm.
Well, Paul, can we suggest then that the Cannes premiere was Iger handing it out, and at this premiere in LA it was Spielberg handing it out?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I want to thank everybody for the Congos in the chat. Yes, it was nice to get Frankie out of mothballs for once in a while.
That was, man, oh man, and Valiant was great on that.
I don't even know if Paul really knows. I used to do this impression of what I think Frank Miller's thinking in his daily life dealing with Kathleen Kennedy. That's where that voice comes from.
Marshall.
Yeah. Or did I say? I'm sorry. Yeah, Frank Marshall. That's what I meant. And so that's where Congo comes from too. Is because he's desperately trying to get Congo too, mate. Because that was one of his directing bouts was Congo. But yeah, his other claim to fame was I was a second unit director on Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, that's a claim to fame.
Yeah.
Wow.
But that was a nice little stab in the heart of Kathleen Kennedy. That was kind of nice.
And I mean, if you know Hollywood, that is maybe the worst thing you could do to someone, even worse than directly calling them a name.
Yeah.
And because the person who delivered it, I mean, Spielberg is still royalty. Anyways, that was great. Thanks for showing that.
Then I would say that Angela Bassett took losing the Oscar with much more grace than KK did there. Much.
Yes. Although she was like darts were coming out of her eyes.
They were, but it wasn't. I think she was still at least clapping.
Yeah.
But anyhow, that was. I didn't get a chance to see that. Thank you, Valiant, for sending me the link to your video. I didn't know
that is so good.
Had actual video in your video. That's cool. Thank you for
great.
that. And then we got Dr. Longerdongler here who sends us a thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up if you haven't already. We've got over 2,000 people watching. I want to see some likes, kids. We need some likes. Paul doesn't think you like him no more. KN Kareen is here. How you doing, Kareen? Says Extraction 2 is fantastic. That came out last night, didn't it? Russo brothers have done it again. This movie should have been in the theaters.
It's true. I've heard nothing but positive buzz on it. I'm going to get a chance to watch it in full later today. I'm excited to see it.
Sweet. We got Darth Bobcat who says, I never thought Chato was John Lithgow until he felt the need to deny it. Have we ever seen them together? Lithgowgate. No, we have not seen them together. Paul saying, where's my money? I want my money.
No, it's I get confused for John Lithgow.
I can see it. I can see why. Yeah.
He's such a talented actor. I wish
He's
I
a
had
great
his
actor.
chops. Yeah.
Last Millennial says, Paul, you're a hoot. Never change. No, he's Canadian. He's Canadian.
I don't know. I can't do an owl, but I can do a
That was pretty good. That wasn't
pigeon.
too bad. Yeah, they do like a weird little like a noise. Yeah. They're kind of annoying. There you go.
That's a loon.
Welcome to our Foley studio, everybody.
This is Midnight's Edge ASMR bird sounds.
Wow.
This is a red-breasted crow. Dark King sends in $5 from Australia. Thank you from Down Under. Dark King says, breaking news. The Flash movie production took so long it rebooted our timeline for real. Paul was Welsh and Andre was black in the old timeline.
Well, it
That
certainly
explains
feels
so
like we're in a
much.
different timeline right now, doesn't it?
It certainly does explain so much. I didn't know you were Welsh, Paul.
I only Welsh on my bets.
I'm not a Brit. I'm bloody Welsh.
I'm bloody Welsh.
That's right. Well, yeah, never ask a Kiwi whether they're an Australian. It's always safer that if you encounter someone where you can't really discern whether they're Australian or New Zealander, you always go for New Zealander because you won't insult the Australian, but you will insult the Kiwi if you call them an Australian.
Usually I can tell the slight difference in the accent, but you're right. It is.
But it depends on which part of Australia they come from.
Right.
Sometimes it's really, I mean, for me at least,
just normally, just from my listening ears, like New Zealanders have a much more lazy way of talking. As where Australians are up here and they're a bit more, it's a little bit more of that kind of an accent. New Zealanders are always talking like they've got nothing better to do.
I'm just now that sounded Liverpudlian, but
it did go a little Liverpoolian, yes.
Anyway, I'm just saying, you just want to avoid a bar fight. Always ask, New Zealand, are you a Kiwi first, and then you're safe. That's all I'm recommending to all of you out there.
Didn't the Liverpoolian lose the Battle of Waterloo? That was a Paul joke.
No, it was Napoleon, not Liverpoolian.
Liverpoolian. Oh. Yeah, I'm now getting a reputation for the quality of my jokes.
Yes, you might want to stop now. STR Red Wolf says Warner Brothers released the Babylon 5 animated movie trailer yesterday. It looks really good, actually. If I was a fan, I wish I could comment. But Paul, didn't you just watch this before the show?
No, I haven't. I've got it queued up. I haven't seen it,
okay.
But I'm a huge Babylon 5 fan. I mean, that to me is.
You look pretty skinny. You look pretty skinny to me, Paul.
Oh, he's hammering me. Oh my God.
He's kind of kicking your ass today in the jokes.
I'm not that bad, culture. That's
He's got like one or two up on you so far. You better amp up your game just a little.
I know. I better come up with a good line. Babylon 5 was one of my favorite shows. I mean, and you could tell the influence that Babylon 5 had on, for instance, DS9.
Yeah.
Because it went serial. It was episodic in its first 2 years, and then Babylon 5 came out, and then suddenly it went serial.
Full disclosure,
it felt better.
I don't have anything against it. It just came out at that time. We were so saturated with Star Trek shows and stuff that it was just, to me, it was just another one. But now in hindsight, I wish I had gotten more involved in it.
It was neat because they got Europeans to play aliens. So, I mean, not that a European accent is necessarily alien, but up to that point, Star Trek, all aliens just talked like this with a guttural, deep voice. And that was it. And then Babylon 5, well, they got a Greek guy. Oh, they got a Lithuanian woman. Oh, okay. Well, that certainly makes it sound outer worldly. I thought that was a brilliant move. It was such a simple thing to do, as opposed to just having everybody talking like this. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. And it's such a cheap show. It was done so inexpensively, but you still had to love it. The stories were great.
Yeah, the graphics were literally Super Nintendo level.
Yes. But the relationship between the guy with the hair and the lizard guy was Shakespearean by the time you started going through it. And then you know, their relationship as like the one guy, Lon, blew up the lizard guy's homeworld. I mean, you were almost in tears.
Yeah, that's what
it was.
That's what
fantastic.
matters far more than special effects. I mean,
Yes.
speaking of special effects, we're soon about to get into The Flash here, where these special effects were barely better than anything seen in Babylon 5 30 years ago.
I mean, honestly, Andre,
joking.
I think enough people have brought this up now that we can no longer call them special effects because there's nothing special about them. So we just got to call them effects.
Well, they are special in a sense.
Well,
I mean,
no.
Special needs effects.
A kid in a helmet with crayons could do better, Andre. I'm sorry. This is...
no. Special. That's
Paul,
terrible.
now,
Andre.
have you seen The Flash yet?
No, I need to see it.
Oh,
I was busy.
Because I think the three of us have otherwise. And it is something to behold. All of you guys have to see Indy 5, says Doug 1985, and give your thoughts and reviews to push awareness and good content. So cheer up. Can't wait till each of you have 1 million subs. Well, I hope that for everybody.
Yeah.
As far as the latter goes, but yeah, I'm sure we're going to suffer for you guys. Chris Gore already saw it.
Yeah,
and I believe Paulie saw it already too. And I know Paulie did not have much positive to say about it, from what I recall.
Neither did Frank.
And neither did Frank. Frankly, or my Frank, for that matter.
That's what matters is the box office. So we'll find out what happens on Monday, right?
Well,
this summer has not been with the blockbusters, have they, Culture, at all?
Oh no, we've been look. What's really funny is you project down the road, and you know, Robbins has been missing over at Box Office Pro more frequently recently because a lot of these people who look forward and they look at pre-sales, they don't want to believe their eyes. The pre-sales for a lot of these tentpoles have been down substantially, and because the audience is tired of it. They're tired of bad entertainment, and it's been revelatory to the rest of us that, you know, they still want to trudge forward like, you know, everything is, you know, going to go great guns through the summer. And it's just not. You are actually entering a weekend, despite the fact that there are supposedly 2 big films out there this weekend and some holdovers, where you're going to earn less money at the box office than you did this particular weekend the previous year, I believe. Now I have to go back and look at those numbers, but it's been falling off a cliff because nobody's excited for any of these upcoming projects. And I would say that has been echoing not just from The Flash to this terrible Elemental thing that just came out yesterday, but also along into the future, all the way up until we get to Mission Impossible. You know, I fully expect the terrible numbers that we've been told that Indy's going to generate here domestically and abroad. I believe those are accurate, and they may be worse. I mean, it legitimately could go well below, you know, what they're saying. You know, $70 million. It could go well below that. Well below that.
Speaking of terrible numbers, just to put the estimates for this weekend into perspective. Now, I know, again, these are just estimates, and it could come up higher. But as it is right now, just talking about this weekend, we'll get back to all future weekends. But I agree, this summer looks like it's going to be wipeout for Hollywood. But for this weekend in particular, the estimates for The Flash is $70 million for the weekend. And considering that it's an Avatar-level budget movie, that's a complete and total disaster. And then Elemental, I don't recall the budget for it, but I'm sure that's close to $200 million as well, because it's Pixar and they waste money. That one is estimated to open to around $30 million, which would be a complete and total utter disaster as well. So that's then another $150–200 million loss for Disney right there. But those 2 movies combined, The Flash and Elemental, those 2 movies just opening this weekend, normally one would be counter-programmed to the other, and they both should do very well. But these are movies that cost too much, and the 2 of them combined, if these projections hold up, they're going to make $100 million together this weekend.
Well,
the two of them together, if those numbers hold, will open to less than The Little Mermaid.
I was just going to say, just for I'm glad you brought up The Little Mermaid, because I was just going to say, just so everybody's curious as to how good of a $9.7 million preview is, Little Mermaid did a million more.
Yeah. And here's the other problem, Tom, and I'm just adding to what you're saying. You add this box office preview to the Elementals box office preview, what do you get? You get $12 million. You get $12 million for two films on a preview Thursday. In the summer here in the States, nobody's going to school. Everybody's available to go and see the previews.
Well, the only thing Disney has going for it is they probably moved all of their money for advertising for Elemental into
just like they did for
Guardians and whatever else, Indiana Jones.
Funny, you should mention Guardians, because these two movies combined, they do in Thursday previews about what Guardians did in Thursday
on its own,
And
that was a soft opening for Guardians, to be clear, too, by the way.
And these two combined are going to open to less than Guardians did. And Guardians still is going to be lucky to break even. This will be a year where Disney is not going to make any money on the box office. On the contrary, they're going to lose $1 billion.
They will lose $1 billion. Before I was like, they'll lose about 500 million. Nope, they're going to lose $1 billion, especially
in fact,
when it comes out.
This looks like it's going to do worse than it may even do worse, or at least on level of what was the last one they did? Black Adam.
I will say that I thought that Black Adam was a 10 times as good a movie as this. I enjoyed Black Adam. I had so much fun with Black Adam I did not have with this. I'll just say that. But yeah, box office wise, this is going to do comparable to Black Adam. Key difference being this cost, like Black Adam was an expensive movie.
Yeah.
But this was a hell of a lot expensive
in fact,
movie.
From my sources, I was told this is the most expensive movie Warner Brothers has ever made.
More so than
and don't forget, I was just going to say, and this is what, 5 years after they just made Justice League, which then was their most expensive movie they had ever made.
DC, the gifts that keeps on giving.
There's something about a superhero film, more than any other film, that they're willing to keep throwing cash into the
Batman. That's why. And I don't mean because Michael Keaton's in this movie. I mean because 1989 Batman took everybody by surprise. Right. They knew it was going to do well. They had no idea it was going to do that well.
That's Tim Burton Batman.
Yes, when Batmania was in full fucking force, like it was like nothing else mattered for a moment.
But I also blame Marvel. It's like these two companies, Warner and Disney, have had a war of attrition, and it's like World War I, and they're each in the trenches, just using up men. Like everyone's dying. It really feels terrible. And they're just willing to spend. I've never seen anything like this in my life.
Yeah, but to be clear, these are now two companies. But just so that because now Disney and Warner are failing together in the same weekend. So just to be clear about that, when Culture and I were saying earlier that Disney looks set to lose $1 billion on the box office for the year, then that has nothing to do with The Flash. That is simply a statement on how badly Disney has lost the confidence of audiences everywhere. When I've said before, and I'll say it again, their biggest movie of the year for Disney is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy Part 3. And the reason that is the biggest movie is because that's the one that will break even. Yeah. All of their other movies are going to net them a loss of $1 billion or thereabouts. Whereas for Warner, they're not going to lose $1 billion, but well, who knows? Because The Flash, with a 300 plus, what 304? Could this thing, The Flash, could it have a budget, or not budget, but a total cost of around 400 million when you factor in marketing? more cultured? What say you? What would you
Yeah.
estimate as the total negative cost
I
of The Flash?
I think we have to look at the interest costs, all the other ancillaries that go with it, in addition to the marketing, which
and inflation. We have to keep in mind
Yeah.
that the money that was spent on making this was worth more than the money that they're now collecting at the box office.
Right, and they've been making this film for a long time. I think it's been pointed out it's been like a decade in the making. So this film's been coming forever, and you know it's obviously disappointing. But at the same time, they've been marketing it for a very long time. It's had Super Bowl, buzz. It's had lots of these other things that you spend an awful lot of money on. So I'm going to say, so far all in, there's somewhere between $450 and $500 million. That means the profitability scale. This thing, in order to break even, has to make $1 billion or more. Yeah, I don't know, Tom. What do you think? You think
they claim? Yeah, I think you're about right. They claim 220 here, but I don't think that's considering. And I believe the original budget was closer to 250. And they have reshot this thing for the last 8 years. So like, this movie has got to rival both the original Justice League and the Rise of Skywalker in its budget and reshoots, I'd imagine. Because this movie had what, 4 rounds of reshoots, if I remember right, or is it 3?
I think 3.
Are we counting the last minute stuff that they kind of pasted together at the end?
No, the last minute stuff that's just
that was shot back in September.
Yeah,
if there was anything
for instance, the post-credit scene of the movie, that wasn't a reshot scene. That was from the first round of reshoots, and then they just cut out the references to the aborted plan of the DCU.
Okay, well,
I'm not talking about the Batman that shows up. I'm talking about like the drunken.
Oh, that other thing. Yeah. Never mind. Yeah.
That drunken stupor thing. Like spoiler. That. Yeah.
The last send off. You mean?
Yeah. The post credit scene that was supposed to be a drunken Aquaman telling the Flash that no, Superman was always a girl. The hell are you talking about? Batman always looked like that. Basically acknowledging that the universe has now changed and it's going to be the DCU going forward, and it always was in the new past as well. That was what the original post-credit scene was. So they kept the scene itself, but they removed those lines from it, thereby rendering that whole scene pointless.
Well, no, I wouldn't say it's pointless, Andre. The impression I got from it was their last drinks. Those were the last 2 men standing, basically. This was a last goodbye to this cast, this universe, and DC as we knew it before.
Yeah,
I will say that one thing annoyed me with that also, because Barry keeps talking about how he has no friends, but he has like this amazing chemistry with Aquaman.
And Batman, too, for that matter. Like, you could just sit there and have a chit-chat with him. That's what sets the whole thing off.
But anyway, we'll get into that later here.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Let's get some more super chats first, and then we'll get into more box office here. Talk about the Flash and our feelings about it. Lieber Wolf has become a new member. Thank you so much, Lieber Wolf. We appreciate that. Midnight Sun says, hello, everyone. Wouldn't it be better for Iger's legacy to correct course rather than stay the course with the new Ray film? Well,
I just want to chime in on this real quick before I hear what the rest of you have to say. The problem is that Iger is personally invested in the success of Ray, because it would be so easy if he could just say that that's all on Kathleen Kennedy, so now we're going to course correct. He can't do that because he personally oversaw everything in The Force Awakens, and he can't deny it because he wrote a book about it that he published, and it sold lots and lots of copies. I mean, both Tom and myself have read it. So he's invested in that thing. If he were to admit defeat, that would be an admission that everything he did with Star Wars was failed. So Ray and the sequel trilogy, in this sense, while Iger is there because he's bound to it, in a sense, is too big to fail. So, for instance, them going with Ray, that is something that goes beyond Kennedy, because Iger wants it too. Which is why I say that for Star Wars to truly be fixed, he needs to go as well. because he was one of those that are fundamentally responsible for the derailing of Star Wars.
If I may, I think I have an analogy that works for this.
Go for it.
Old Star Wars and Luke Skywalker, whatever, was that old trusty car you didn't want to trade in, but you reluctantly trade in to get something new because you just had to get with the times. This new vehicle you've had has been nothing but trouble, but you are fucking committed to it now. So you have to find a way to make it work.
That is a very good analogy. Now, of course, if some, like for instance, now you drop dead for whatever reason, and someone else inherits the car, they don't have that attachment to it. So they're going to say, well, screw this, let's just sell it off and get something else. That's what would happen if we get like a new CEO that just wants to see this work. Meanwhile, Iger is the guy that, to continue your analogy, which is spot on, yeah, he invested in this, now he's going to make this fucker work because he can't admit that he got suckered, basically. I think that's spot on.
All right. Well, speaking of my car, I just saw it. Black Saber asked in the car, how's my car? I'm still waiting on the parts. So hopefully not too much longer, but thank you for asking. And Sadie's doing well, for those who are wondering. As you can hear, she's barking at the mailman right now, I believe. But I believe Paul just watched the Babylon 5 trailer.
Oh.
At least he's commenting on it in the background.
Yeah. Yeah.
So your reaction?
Was shocked. It's got a timeline, parallel universe bullshit. Like, we need more between the MCU, between this Flash thing that everyone is agonizing over. Michael Straczynski has now given us more of this altered timeline crap. I'm so tired of it. I cannot believe that he dove into that well, or dove into that. You can
so it doesn't sound like you're on board.
No, I'm really just. I mean, the animation looks good. It looks like top-notch anime style, but Londo and oh my god, like I don't see the point in changing what has already taken place on in Babylon 5. They go back in time and the wars never happened and things get changed and it's up to Sheridan to sort things out. And oh my god, I fucking hate this. I might be fine, but I don't see these timeline storylines working.
To be honest with you, after watching Flash last night, I am so multiversed out.
Yeah,
I am so tired. Like,
yeah, no, but that's my point.
It was almost like
enough.
Overdose of it in the Flash at last. It just gotten to a point where I'm like, okay, enough's enough.
Yep, it's we've just, I think everyone has had it, and all these properties have been doing this for a long enough time that Straczynski must know what's going on. I mean, I
can't imagine how all these TV shows and movies managed to write stories before multiverses.
Yeah. Isn't that amazing?
Well, they were creative and they didn't have to go back and steal from other stuff because they were making things that hadn't been made before. And now they just remake things because they don't know how to make things. It's like you know that one wonderful line in Multiplicity, another Keaton film, by the way,
Love
where
that movie.
when you make a copy of a copy of a copy, yeah, it's not really, yeah, that's what you end up with. Exactly that.
Yeah, there's just some stories that have worked. Edge of Tomorrow was brilliant.
Yeah,
but I can't count on too many fingers stories with
time travel.
Time Bandits worked well.
Time Bandits, Back to the Future, Time Cop, maybe 12 Monkeys and a couple of few, but even the time travel.
The Nicholas Meyer movie.
Oh yeah, Time After Time. That's a fun one. That's a fun one.
That was fun. Yeah.
But no, after last night, I'm just so sick and tired of time travel. I'm sick and tired of multiverses, and we'll get into Flash here shortly. Let's get into some more super chats.
Anyways, disappointed. Sorry, Michael.
Yeah.
I know you don't know me, and we're not friends, but I am supremely disappointed that you went down this path.
That's too bad. Kanan has been a member for 2 months at the midnight level. That's not too bad. That's uplifting at least. And also uplifting is Jason Fox has become a new member. Thank you so much, Jason.
Hey, Jason.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We got Miguel Farah, who says the Star Wreck parody is better Star Trek than current Star Trek or anything post Star Trek Enterprise. Star Trek is dead. Yeah, when you guys were talking about Star Trek earlier.
Star Wreck, is that Finnish parody?
I don't know, but I've heard of it. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think it is. And
then we got Last Call with Troy Pacelli. How you doing, Troy? Says Toei or Tao, however you say that, did an King Kong anime in '66. Is it an anime or was that the? Because I remember I answered you in the chat, but now I'm thinking I got that confused with was it Hanna-Barbera who did it back in the, or was it Rankin and Bass? Rankin and Bass did a King Kong cartoon in the '60s, so it might not be the same one I'm thinking of. If it's different, Troy, DM me with the info on this one because I'm not familiar with this. If this is the case,
yeah, Toei is one of the Japanese companies that cranked out the live action, all those like Black Rider, all these motorcycle variation. Super, like the what is the guy Power Rangery kind of?
Yeah, it's like Super Sentai stuff. Yeah.
Yes, endless, and it's all horribly wonderful.
Now, I believe the Rankin and Bass show was made off the license of the Japanese version of Kong. If it's the same one, let me know, Troy. If it's something different, DM me the info on it because I'm very interested in finding out what it is. So thank you for bringing that up. Jesus Davila gifted a membership. Thank you so much, Jesus. Mexican Iron Man is in the house. How you doing, Mikey? He's been a member for 26 months. Says, show the KK video clip now. Show it now. We did it. So thank you, Mikey. We showed it then. Then now. Now or now.
When is now then? Or when is then now?
Ooh, when? Yes, the Spaceballs joke. Thank you, Culture. Meredith G says, I want to point out that the shorts in the financial markets would want to drive the WD stock price down. It helps an activist investor to buy more stock.
Culture helps more than one activist investor. That's the issue.
Yeah, and that's true. I mean, you're going to have everybody jumping in. BlackRock, you have,
if they want to double down, that would be the opportunity.
I mean, the same thing happened with, and again, this has been pointed out in multiple places by wonderful guests in the chat for several days now, is that, the collapse of Anheuser-Busch InBev, AB InBev, was perhaps orchestrated. Some people would suggest that because it allowed for more institutional ownership to take over AB InBev, which gives them more influence on the boards, et cetera, et cetera. So there you are.
Yeah, and then we got some super chats about Kathleen Kennedy. Aaron Pipe says, would have been great if he had said, and the one who kept our coffee cups full of her horribly bad coffee, Kathy Kennedy. Yeah. Brian Barr says, do you think Spielberg now hates Kathleen Kennedy? Why did he leave the fifth film? I don't know about hate, but I do wonder if there's some animosity there.
Resentful is the word you're looking for, and I do believe that.
Then we got the one, the only, Rod Thunderheart, who I'm sure is gear jamming today and says, hail midnight edge in the morning. I didn't know KK had enough estrogen in her body to wear a skirt. Well, Bryant Barth also is a member, says, do you think Spielberg now hates Kathleen Kennedy? Why do you, did I get this one twice? I might have. Or I grabbed it twice. That's what it was. Pilgrim Media says Flash Baby and microwave trope. What the hell? Okay, let's get on this fucking movie. What do you guys say?
Let's do it.
We've been hitting around it for the last half hour, 45 minutes.
Let's throw the spoiler banner up because there may be some spoilers.
Not that I think it really. I've gotten so yelled at over this movie and spoilers and shit. I'm just like,
let's put spoiler banner up anyway.
Why are you worried about a movie that goes nowhere? Like there's nothing to spoil.
People don't know that. So yeah, that's warning spoilers. Or put warning flash spoilers.
Well, Paul's the only one who hasn't seen this yet, so
I'm not worried about him.
I'm okay.
Yeah, that's what
don't worry about me.
No, that's not even what I meant. But
yeah, but we have more than 2,000 watching, and I would hate for, let's just say, on the off chance that there's like a couple here who are genuinely excited about the movie. I want you to be warned that now would be a good time to smash that like and help share the stream if you want the word out there, if you enjoy what we're doing. And if you don't want to get spoiled, now would be a good time to go and do something else and come back and watch this on the replay afterwards, or forever hold your peace. So, yes.
Yeah, this is kind of what I was getting at. That's showbiz. Is can you spoil a pointless film? That's, I think, the biggest problem with this movie overall. I mean, there's a lot wrong with this movie. But that's,
so I'll tell you something about spoilers. So this is going to be a weird analogy. You're going to laugh at me. But good beer tastes good even when it's warm. And it's the bad beer that has to be cold to be palatable. And so good writing, it doesn't matter if you've told someone the entire story. They're going to go to a play or watch a TV show or a movie and enjoy the rhythm of something well done. It's sometimes why on streaming services, I'll watch the first show and the last show to see whether it's worthwhile to watch, and then just enjoy the rhythm and the play of what they've done. And I don't have to worry about, getting anxious about what exactly is going on. You enjoy a show in a very, very different way. Just because someone has held the big secret to the very end, that's just shitty writing. You actually want the big secret at the very beginning and then just see how the characters react to the events that they've been forced into. That is much more, again, the big secret that nobody knows, that's going to be revealed at the end. That's bad writing.
Well, and I'm glad you said that.
I'm a twisted person.
No, that's a great analogy. And I don't know if you see what's on screen here, if you can read it, but I wrote here and I posted a picture of the Star Trek V Final Frontier comic book adaptation. I said, one reason I've never understood spoilers. Our childhood, we had trading cards, novelizations, sticker and storybooks, along with wonderful comic book adaptations. Meaning we knew the whole movie going into these sumbitches and we still loved them. I think you were on point.
Because of the
I think it has all to do with the execution. Exactly. And we were talking about this the other day, and it's like movies like Sixth Sense and stuff really don't hold up on rewatches. No. Like the ending being spoiled, that kind of, once you know how the movie goes, it's kind of pointless. Now, a movie like Planet of the Apes, this big spoiler, they put that on the poster now. Like, it's Earth going into this thing.
That was when I watched it, that was a surprise. That was a good surprise.
But the movie holds up, Paul. That's the whole point. Oh, yeah. It's not just built upon that spoiler, right? Or that.
No, and that's why I've watched the movie like 20 times.
But at the same time, and this is what kind of prompted this whole damn thing for me going down this whole road, because I got yelled at like about a buttload of people. And I don't even remember what the hell I said like on one of the shows last week or the other day. And it was just like, you're spoiling. You should warn spoilers. You shouldn't say spoiler. It's like, we're spoiling a movie that's 10 years old. Like,
yes.
What the fuck? I mean, I know nobody's really seen this movie yet, but who hasn't really, quote unquote, seen this movie already? We all know what happens in it. Okay, we all know who's in it.
Spoiler alert. Zardoz is Wizard of Oz. Okay.
Zardoz.
Oh, I wrecked it for culture. That's
one of his favorite movies. He loves to see Sean in that bikini.
You know what? I really enjoyed that film.
It's batshit crazy.
But speaking of culture, let's hear your thoughts on the Flash, because you saw it. So let it rip.
All right, so these are unorganized thoughts because I haven't put my video together for The Flash because I see movies so people don't have to. I'm going to start out with this. I'm not bearing the lead. Don't see this film. It's friggin' terrible. This actually, I bury this film underneath Elementals. Right. I actually think that they were competing neck and neck until we got to the end. And then I snuck The Flash right underneath that. If you're going to put this on a scale of 1 to 10, this might be a 4, but probably not. It's like a 3.9. So it sits like right under there under just sniffing the butt of Elementals. And let me tell you, there's a lot of butt sniffing in this film. I didn't enjoy one single frame of the film. The opportunities that they had the opportunities that they had to make a good film were there. There were lots of pieces that you could have enjoyed. There was about the first 2 minutes that you were like hopeful, and that was it. I can tell you that I was sick and tired of all the different time travel paths forward and backward. I knew this thing was going to be a convoluted mess from the very beginning. You know, as Frank Gore would say, the leaks were true, all of it, and it's just that bad. Last night I used a lot more colorful language, but because this is likely to be clipped, I will avoid doing so. But having multiple Barrys just remind you how annoying Ezra Miller's Barry was. He was multiply annoying, and to the point where you actually will end up with 3 levels of annoyance in this film at a certain point. And it's at the end, which means now you're really angry at the film because they gave you 3 things you did not want any of to begin with. The Ezra Miller movie, right, had an Ezra Miller problem. It could have been done much better if they'd have brought in somebody else to play his character, or during the path of going to and from forward and backward in time, he became Grant Gustin, or somebody else that would have been at least marginally tolerable in the role. They play him up as being socially awkward and all of these other things. And as Andre and Tom have clearly indicated, he's able to carry on conversations with people that he is close to or considers friends, like Aquaman and Batman and many others. Look, there were some ideas here, but it wasn't Flashpoint. If this is only tangentially related to Flashpoint, as Superman is tangentially related to Brewster's Millions, and if you know those two films, you understand what I'm saying. Ultimately, there was a whole lot of not making sense in here, and that just go into that. If you decide to watch this film, understand nothing is going to make sense from beginning to end. And then the ultimate ending was an insult, because it gave us the least qualified Batman at the very end of the film. And if you're looking forward to a Wonder Woman cameo, she's there for all of 3 minutes. And of course, she immediately emasculates the men with the lasso of truth. So
it's
enjoy
not
it.
3
including
minutes.
Batman.
It's less than 3 minutes, I'd say, Culture.
Okay. Well,
More like a minute and a half.
I'm stretching the whole scene.
Yeah.
But
But
No,
that
but yeah,
actually
you're
makes
right.
it worse,
Yeah.
because she was able to emasculate the men, including Batman, in a minute and a half.
Yeah, it was. Look, it was beyond frustrating, and that part's right at the beginning of the film. So my varying level of frustration as this film went on was growing, and then we started to reach exponential factors along the way. And mind you, I went with somebody who's very well informed about this particular story, or what this story should have been, Flashpoint, but they discarded it all in favor of a lot of other stuff that never was in there. And Tom, to his credit, was 100% right. We've got Batman v Superman, or Man of Steel, at various points. The version of what you would want to call Superwoman, believe it or not, she was the least offensive character in this entire thing, absent obviously the Batman performance from Michael Keaton.
You mean her cameo?
Well, yeah, I mean, and again, I mean, to be fair, I think she was a pretty good character and representation of that character. But the nicest thing that I think I got to see was Michael Keaton, and he can't even save this. And I'm done. Rant over. You know what? Save your money. Save your money this weekend. This weekend is not for you. Okay. They made a bunch of films that are not for you, and they put them all out there at the same time. Okay.
Look,
I have one more question. Going back to the super chat to start this, what do you feel about the micro baby?
Dude, okay, the CGI, oh my gosh, thank you. The CGI is so god-awful in here. And yeah, micro baby, the microwave baby, and that's a real thing, folks. A, didn't look real, but B, was patently a problem, okay? Putting a baby in a microwave sends the wrong message, and to say the least. But look, the whole thing when it comes to the CGI here, and it's a problem throughout. The only thing that looks good, and this is how bad this film was Ezra Miller running, which he can't do. So every other aspect of it, even the moments where they had to CGI Michael Keaton's Batman, looked unreal, stretched. You are incapable of suspending disbelief for
They
this.
they put a baby in a microwave.
Yes.
There's not even a button for that.
I know.
No.
Like
There's
potato.
no. I know. You're right. Gentle bundle is not a button that's on microwave.
Wow.
Look, there is context that would lend itself to trying to explain putting a baby in a microwave.
It doesn't matter because Script Doctor pointed out brilliantly last night, and he didn't say the first part, but he said the last part. I'm putting these two things together. I can't believe they put so much thought into the electrical and centrifugal force of the, time, how he moves around with the speed force,
Right.
but they don't think about how actual physics work. Right. Like Script was pointing out, every time he jumps on something, that would send that thing like a projectile bullet into the ground.
No, listen, because of CGI, everyone has lost sight of physics. That's my biggest complaint. One of my biggest complaints of the Strange New Worlds episode 1, season 2, is that these massive starships, I don't care whether they have inertial dampeners. They're not tiny starfighters. They have a massive amount of mass. You can't throw them around, planets and rocks and things. Like, it just drives me nuts.
I do have a feeling that this scene of him putting a baby into a microwave to shield the baby from the falling rubble of the building that's collapsing around said baby probably would annoy you more than Star Trek. Also, I have to address the single worst defense for any movie there is. Let's see if I can get this comment here. Let's see. I just have to. The hell?
I'm frustrated.
The chat stream spice.
While you're looking for that, I did have a point I wanted to bounce off of Cultures real quick. He's right. Save your money. In fact, I got news flash for you. Michael Keaton already returned as Batman. It's called Batman Returns. just watch that instead.
Yeah,
it's a much better film.
Yeah.
Much better film.
Yeah, I mean, and Catwoman in that is very talented.
Meow.
Best Catwoman ever.
She is the best Catwoman in there. Yeah. But anyway, what, did you find your comment, Andre?
No, not yet. I just want to. Well, okay, so I won't be able to highlight it. I just want to say what it is. Like, need defense that it's just a movie. That is no excuse for this kind of sloppiness, because even if you are making a comic book movie and stuff like that, you have to try to make an actual movie out of it, by which I mean something that stands on its own, that is internally consistent, that abides by the rules of physics, at least with the movie's own rules of physics, and ideally has much more themes and messages baked into it, like any proper work of art should have, which is what movies should be. It's just a movie is a bad excuse. That is no reason to hold anything with this kind of price tag to any kind of reduced standard, because it's just a movie. No, it's not just a movie. This is a $300-400 million investment. That's what it is. And in order for that expense to be justified, it has to be more than just a movie. It has to be a movie that will be talked about in the best kind of sense for years to come. Not by giving us a new version of Nuke the Fridge.
Yeah, as the chat is now dubbing that bit. Culture, since you're going to be leaving us soon, any other thoughts on the Flash film that you wanted to get into before you had to exit?
So you're telling me to go see it?
No.
Yeah, go see it twice, actually.
So many missed opportunities here. Zod was wasted. You can understand why Michael Shannon came out and said as much during the,
I don't even know why I'm in this movie.
Yeah. I don't know why he's in this movie. I don't know why anybody's in this movie.
I compared this third act to BVS.
Yeah, and here's the weirdest thing, right? I mean, theoretically, had anybody been thinking, the Flash could have killed all of the Kryptonians very easily by just vibrating his hand in there and tearing their heart out. Oh, Kalima.
Right.
And that would have been it. But that's not what happened.
That's
That's what I
brilliant.
was thinking too when he did it in that one shot. I'm like, why don't you just keep doing that now?
Yeah, I mean, seriously, just go around, tear out their hearts, and throw them at them.
All you have to do is actually phase your hand in, grab their heart for a few seconds, and cause cardiac arrest.
That's
Boom.
actually a really, really good point. I mean, go straight for the myocarditis. That would have been brilliant. Because, then you have two ways of killing them.
Yeah.
We saw that in Man of Steel. Like, my issue with that wasn't Superman breaking the neck of Zod. No. My issue was that as soon that he realized that, the moment their helmet is broken, they'll spend a moment dazed and confused as they get accustomed to the new surroundings. Those seconds is the window he had to break the neck of every last motherfucking Kryptonian.
Yep.
That's what he should have done. The problem wasn't that he broke Zod's neck, it was that he didn't break the neck of everyone else. Because that's what he needed to do.
Didn't take advantage of the situation. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the same thing here. Yeah, you're right. I hadn't considered that. But yeah, the Flash, he should have totally gone Kalima on every single one of the Kryptonians. I would have solved the problem too. Why didn't he do that? Instead, he basically spent the rest of his existence running in circles, becoming old and gray, failing to tear their hearts out. And that's the final point that I wanted to raise with you. So I'm just going to fast forward to that before you have to leave here. I did not attend the spoiler discussion on Midnight's Edge After Dark last night. I invite you all to go check it out because that was a brilliant discussion. And Tom, you made an observation in there, which I agree with 100%. And that observation, and this is the one thing that I will give the movie credit for. This is the thing I said about like subtext. There needs to be like some hidden meaning and stuff. Things that you can go and debate and talk about, maybe be a little bit unclear about. This movie actually has that. So credit to the director, or to maybe Zack Snyder who wanted it in from the beginning. I do not know. But basically, Tom, what was your theory on the killer of Flash's mother?
Oh, wow.
We never saw.
You're looking at him right here. This is him getting ready to go kill his mom right here. That was my interpretation of this whole thing. And you even have the younger Barry go, "You're going to go kill mom." And that's basically the point where Ezra figures out, or middle Barry, let's call him, or present Barry figures out that there is no other solution here. I always killed mom. I always become the Flash. It's inevitable. Fate is inevitable. Just like he says to Batman.
Yeah.
He is the one who killed his mother, creating a looped paradox, basically, in the process of. Now, this could have been shoddy writing, that they just forgot to introduce a third party. There is no a murderer who initially set this whole thing off. Not only that, they don't even introduce any kind of motivation, because you have completely disregarded Reverse Flash, Eobard Thawne, any other possible person who could have done this or had motivation to do this in the first place. So with the way this movie plays out, the only logical solution is Barry kills his mom and frames his father for it.
I agree.
The only thing he did to change that was his dad still sits in prison for 10 years, but he just made it now that, the video works better so he can get his dad out of prison.
And
problem solved.
And Ben Affleck's Batman is lost because of that little change. But yeah,
don't even get me started on that shit.
I agree completely with your interpretation that the person we see right here, which is we also see it in trailers. This is like towards the end of the movie when he basically goes as an adult to say goodbye. He's getting permission from his mom.
Yep,
he's getting her permission to do what he must do, and that is not just to take away the can of tomatoes. No. That's just to get the father out of the house.
Yep.
The other thing he must do, because there is no killer. We have never been presented with an alternative killer. Nope. He must next go to the house, use his super speed, and stab his mother to death.
Yep.
Look, and that's lovely. I mean, that's just a beautiful image she paint there. But I'm going to reject it, just because I think that there was a killer. The problem is that based on other previous comics, it suggested that it's an entirely other entity.
And I know some people are like, oh, it's this, it's that. And it's like, no. You're drawing shit from the comics. You're bringing characters to the table that don't fucking exist in this movie. Sorry, Culture. Continue.
No, it's just no. You're right. I mean, I am, but I'm like, if you're really trying to do this and try to weave this story together, there is a third party killer. There are several different solutions here that could have been conquered by this movie, making it essentially no reason to exist. But he finally arrives on the conclusion that still changes the history, which is to put the tomato sauce on the top shelf instead of the middle shelf. So his dad has to look up and get caught on the camera. I mean, this is how dumb this is.
Instead of actually looking for the actual murderer, which set the original story up in the first place. Sorry, this is what pisses me off about this. I'm sorry.
I was headed there. I'm like, you could have actually rectified it without changing anything by just having Flash go back in time and see who the murderer is.
And he doesn't do that. And there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
And this is one thing I will credit them with. They leave this as a little mystery. Like, oh, we don't know. It doesn't really matter. It's not like, just wait. Every single talking head is going to go and say, it doesn't matter who did it. It happened. No. And the reason it doesn't matter is because that is the little empty, and that is what gives this empty room, that gives us the room to discuss the movie. This is what is going to make it last. He was the one who actually stabbed it. No one is going to come out and confirm that's what happened, because no great movie ever goes out and shares its own interpretation. But that is there. He killed his mother, not just by putting the thing back.
You can't even
stabbing her.
Andre, you can't even argue that it was the alternate Flash that did it, because we know it wasn't.
Nope. Alternate Flash tried to save her and tried to prevent him, because Alternate Flash knew what he was going to do. To take the knife and stab her.
And again, the only thing that goes against that, there's two things. The one thing that is that Dark Older Flash does say, you let her die. So that does imply somebody else did it. And the only fucking time in this entire movie when you have Barry Allen and the world's greatest detective Batman on the case, they never even thinking of who might actually have done this or why. The only thing he does say is, I think it was just a botched robbery and they thought we weren't home because dad had took the car, where something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing. That's the only time he says it, brings up any other possibilities into this whole idea that there might be somebody who murdered his mom for whatever reason.
You know what I'm enjoying? The thing I'm enjoying about this conversation and how animated and emotional it is, that if Shakespeare had social media at the time, and people went nuts over Richard III like this.
Yeah, but this is the best part of the movie. I will say that. Just that one thing right there, I don't think that is stupid. I think that is actually a stroke of brilliance, and it's a shame that the rest of the movie doesn't live up to it, because this is kind of like a predetermination bootstrap paradox right here, and it's the single most clever aspect of the whole movie. So I don't bring it up to like poo-poo it in any way. On the contrary, that is one thing about this movie that I would say, yes, that was brilliant. That was clever.
Maybe, but it's still bad because you're making your hero into a villain. He is a murderer now, and not only that, throughout this entire movie, he doesn't do anything heroic without doing something bad in the process of. He's stealing shit constantly.
All the time.
Yeah, and doing other things that are not very heroic. But anyway, Culture and Paul actually sadly have to leave us now. So before you go here, Alex M has a super chat specifically for you, Culture. He goes, oh, Culture, sigh. Let me clear this up. If you're English, you're British. If you're Scottish, you're British. If you're Welsh, British. Same for Northern Irish, but more complicated. It's like being Floridian and American.
I accept that, but I will say if it's not Scottish, it's crap.
It's crap. Speaking of crap, what kind of crap have you got coming up, Culture? No, I'm just kidding.
Well, yeah,
what kind of good stuff you got coming up?
No. I got some crap out there too. I mean, let's be fair. I made early content, so did we all. But anyway, no. The channel's got some new stuff coming out. I got a video that's just about to drop, or it's already just dropped, that talks a bit about the giant debt bomb that Hollywood is faced with. That's something you can watch after you're done here over on Midnight's Edge. I've got my live show coming up the Friday pre-flight, which comes up after Midnight's Edge. And then I begin my weekend, and that's going to be an awful lot of work in the greenhouses and other stuff. But I want to say thank you for having me on this week. It's been a good time. I like hanging out with the Canadian who has worse dad jokes than me, and I appreciate Paul very much. We're on the way. We're on the march to 10K, and it's all because of you. So thank you for all of your support.
That's great. Congratulations.
Yeah, we're getting real close. We're hitting that 7K mark. I think I can meet my deadline, which is the middle of July. I think I can get that last 3K. We'll see. I'm gonna work hard. We'll see. I blame Paul for that though, because
because I'm sucking back about nearly 4,000 subs a month.
Yeah, you're throwing them away. You should just throw them.
So you're like Jared.
Whoa, I gotta go. I love y'all.
He said he's throwing back subs. I thought maybe.
Oh, gotcha. Meat
culture. Yes, meat subs. That wasn't even a bad joke.
Yeah. No. Jared was showing lots of people his meat sub.
Oh, now that's a bad joke. Oh.
That's a riffing. That's not a joke. That's called riffing.
That's riffing.
As long as I don't mention Malaysian Airlines.
Right. Thank you for being here, Paul. We appreciate it. Anything you got coming up you want to plug before you head out?
I just finished publishing my review of Strange New Worlds, Season 2, Episode 1, and I invite everybody to watch that, and that's it.
All right. We'll
lots of gossip about stuff I can't publish. About people that are online that we kind of sort of love, but I've heard some horrible things recently, and I wish I could talk about it. But
speaking of gossip, I would love to see you do like a National Enquirer show where you really just go through like the weird Hollywood gossip stuff. That'd be hilarious.
That would be good.
I think so. We did have one for you. David March sent in 11 Canadian, says, Paul, this is the Babylon 5 canon, though, from the two-parter in season 3, the first episode, Babylon 5 Squared. J. Michael Straczynski is showing what happened in that alternate timeline.
Yeah, but you know what? That's great. And I know Zathras, the time traveler, took him to different places. I get it. It's just, I'm exhausted. I love Zathras. One of my favorite characters in Babylon 5. But I guess he's trapped. I mean, the thing is, as well as he's going to write it, it's just going to feel like something that everybody has already done. I just don't need it. That's my initial thought.
I just want catty, chatty, Chato. You won't believe the news.
Well, I was very bitchy in my Strange New World review.
I would love that. STR Red Wolf says, I said looks good, not great, Paul and Tom. Well, I'm not saying any, I haven't even seen it, so.
I mean, those Kurtzman guys, they've got lesbian parents, non-binary transporter controller. I mean, it's just so fun. Like, it's just, they cannot.
Well, everyone is baseline bi in the Kurtzman verse, don't you know?
Yes.
So it's bi-normative.
I'm shocked that they made Spock straight, at least initially.
I will say that Spock right now is gradually becoming the best character. I mean, he's not Spock, but he's a decent character. Someone who isn't is their Kirk. I mean,
terrible.
Who he's going to? You know who the Kirk in Strange New Worlds is going to age into? He's going to age into that old dude in Demolition Man, like the real stickler, boring dude, and the jailer in Shawshank Redemption. I mean, he's going to age into those guys because he's just a boring, paper-pushing stickler. That's Kirk in Strange New Worlds.
Yeah, you know what? This version of Spock is fine as long as you avoid the fact that he's been retconned, like completely. He's not Spock.
Nope, not at all.
So, anyways, listen, enjoy the rest of the day and the weekend. And I guess there's no American holidays, no Norwegian holidays this weekend.
I think there's something coming out. I don't recall exactly now.
The ice festival.
No, wrong time of year. But we are about to have like midsummer here, like with pagans, like pagans, stuff like running naked around fires and stuff. We'll have that.
Oh, I like that. I mean, that would be a funny parallel where people are going, "I'm so sick and tired of it's pagan all year now."
Yeah,
it used to be pagan only for a month, and now it's all year.
But the Swedes do a much better job at celebrating that. If you don't believe me, just check out the movie Midsummer. That's a pretty decent movie.
And we need to talk about taxidermy.
Yes.
I don't know where. Yes. I don't know where. What forum to talk about?
Oh, a Monday. We'll force Chris Gore to watch it, and we'll review it.
Okay.
On Monday. Yeah.
That would be brilliant. Like on a late night or so, one of the late night shows. Okay, I'm there. I'm completely there. I love you guys. Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
All right. Take care. Thanks for being here. Yes. And then, Tom. We have a few more super chats. Tom may had to step out for a while there. Oh, we just...
I'm still here. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, perfect.
Muted.
Well, before we do a speed run on the super chats, we have a sponsored message, don't we?
We do, and I keep forgetting to run it at the top of the show. That's my fault again. But if you loved Mad Magazine and Cracked, you'll love Flip City. Friends, if you're looking for real old school laughs, you're in for a treat because we've got them right here. Flip City Magazine. Remember Mad Magazine? Then it went woke? Wow, don't worry. Flip City has no chance of going woke. That's right. 4 times a year, you'll get an actual printed magazine full of jokes, stories, comics, and more, all about today's pop culture, entertainment, and woke politics. Flip City takes terrible entertainment trends we love to hate with hilarious parodies of Lord of the Rings, Stranger Things, The Walking Dead, Star Trek, Hunters, and more. Trust me when I say there is nothing else like Flip City on the market. So subscribe today. It will be delivered in print, or you can even get it digitally if you're one of those wacky Zoomers. Either way, follow our link and sign up today, and if you put in midnight, you get an extra 10% off. Check out Flip City Magazine today. Thank you again to Flip City for sponsoring us. We appreciate that. Because Lord knows nobody else would. Just kidding.
Surf Shark spot coming soon. I'm just
I'm going to leave the spoiler banner up just in case there's some super chats to get into it. But for now, we're kind of past the Flash stuff. But we're going to get back into the super chats now. Thank you so much, guys, for being patient. Jim Watari says, Paul says Zed, Sticky Buns a boot. I am so sorry I missed this before, Jim Watari. I didn't see it in my scan.
6, and 6 is not here today.
Yeah, 6 is not here today,
but
sadly.
We are going to screenshot this, and come Monday, this is the first thing that Paul is going to say.
And he will do it because he's a dancing monkey.
Exactly.
Aurora Uplink says, I decided to try writing a Jedi Knight script about 2 males together. Did they kiss? Then maybe Lucasfilm will actually buy it. Yes. I think it's pretty good so far. As long as they kiss, then I think you're
I will give one advice, though, for any kind of aspiring screenwriter, because there are many who are big fans of Star Wars and who write a Star Wars script and you try to send. I've seen this before. They won't even read it. I'm very sorry to say that they won't read it. It'll be sent back to you unread. You may have fun doing it, but no one is ever going to read it in Disney. What you want to do is that you want to remove any kind of Star Wars reference whatsoever, so you just have a script about the 2 males together, and then you send that to some agents and stuff like that. Maybe not specifically at Disney, because they're not going to be accepting too many outside pitches right now, but try to get some agents and stuff aboard. That's how you want to do it. Don't send like a branded script to the studio that has that brand. It will not be read. So yeah, sorry to burst your bubble there, but people have to stop doing that because they're wasting their time. But thanks for the support. And yeah, and then Pilgrim Media says for $2, the Flash short bus effects were special. Yeah, that's the point that I was making. This was these effects were not made by the top of the class in designer school. Let's just put it that way. And another one for Paul, unfortunately, Jerry, or who unfortunately left, I should say. Jerry Gould says, talking gear porn. Babylon 5 Star Fury used Newtonian physics. Oh, that's cool. I wish more sci-fi would do that. Mecha J says for $5, the Flash director is now claiming the movie's visual effects are supposed to look like that. Yeah, well, what is he supposed to say? Like, he could say something like the lines of, yeah, like, this is absolute crap, but we had wasted so much money on this movie already that James Gunn did not approve us throwing any more good money after bad, because that's the real answer to why it looks so bad. I mean, I'm also reminded of Mortal Kombat Annihilation, where someone decided that, you know what, fuck it, this previous stuff is going to do. Let's not just finish this. And that's literally what happened there. And this is the same thing. Mr. Tickletrunk says for $2.20 Canadian, NASA even asked Babylon 5's John Straczynski for Star Fury blueprints. I did not know that, but cool.
Well, on that note, because speaking of, Six is actually listening in the background. Even though she's not here today, and she's still working, of course, but she didn't get this to me in time. Sorry, Miguel. She's running behind in her stream as well, and didn't alert me to this one before Paul left. She pointed out that you wanted us to get to this before Paul left. Sorry again, didn't get to it, but we can screenshot it and hopefully address it on Monday.
We'll do it Monday, yeah.
So Miguel says, let's hope Babylon 5 has gotten multiverses right. J. Michael Straczynski's influence on classic sci-fi after all, and he cares about the story coming first. Yeah, I mean, I was kind of surprised to hear his reaction, but I mean, in this case, I'm going to trust you guys on this because I am not a Babylon 5. I don't know anything about it really, other than it's a sci-fi show.
Yeah, so, I know that it has a more devout fan base than Deep Space Nine, and there was a rivalry between the two. But beyond that, that's kind of like for my knowledge stuff. Sorry about that. And then, yeah, we had this one. GEC 812 says for $5 to tell the difference between Australia and New Zealand, get them to say six and or fish and chips. The New Zealander will say sex bro and chips bro.
Chips bro.
Of course, that came completely butched in my Norwegian accent, but here, there's
I tried to back you up there a little bit, but
go for it.
I already did it. It's all good.
Yeah, perfect.
Sex bro. And chips, bro, or how we say it,
yeah.
John Thomas says, after inflation, how do Flash and Indiana compare to Heaven's Gate? That's always been the benchmark for financial law. Well, that comes at the end of the game. What we're talking about here is the early numbers, right? Like this is kind of where you can kind of get a gauge on where it's going to go. Now, this isn't always accurate. Things could change. In fact, it could go better. It could go much horribly worse. But where Flash is sitting right now, 9.7 million is not good for a preview, considering all the extra previews they had, which is combining into this number, which tells me that they have not made the kind of money. Now, some of those previews are free, so there was no money to be made, but not all of them. Like this last Monday and stuff, they had a bunch of previews throughout the US that were people had to pay to get into, and some other places. For instance, there's a lot of people running around right now saying, oh, why is everybody freaking out? This had the same opening as Aquaman. Not really. This had the same, the amount of money that Flash has made at this point in all the previews combined is the same that Aquaman made in one day on Thursday. Aquaman made over almost 14 million in its preview screenings. Preview screenings count everything prior to Friday opening. And I've been arguing this point with a couple of idiots online for the last 24 hours now. Because, or not quite 24 hours, but since I got back last night, because the numbers started rolling in early that this was not good. $9 million for Thursday night previews, whatever. That's what they were just putting on the thing. So that's why I kept asking, is this Thursday night or is this all the preview numbers together? And people were starting to try and argue semantics with me. Well, guess what? The number ain't changed. That means they were combining that number from the start, meaning either it was insignificant or this is it, kids. And that is not good. Because as I pointed out just about, 20 minutes ago, this actually opened 1 million less its opening previews than Little Mermaid did. And we all saw how that turned out so far. But now you get to the other end of this when it's all said and done. Now, compared to like Heaven's Gate, Little Mermaid, yeah, it's probably more on par. Because that's going to lose some money for Disney, right, Andre?
Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure.
We're looking at what, like the $100 to $200 million range at this point?
That depends entirely on how much it grosses in the end, but more than 100, probably less than 2.
Yeah.
Around 150. I mean, when Disney first loses big, they typically lose 150 million.
Because it's never going to break even in any way, shape, or form.
No. God, no. Never.
And honestly, Hypnotic, there's Enrapture, most of the idiots I argue with are just that, idiots. So it's not really worth your time.
Yeah.
If you want to come in and get involved, that's up to you. But like, I'm not going to tell you what to do. But
yeah, no, that's an example of Tom's usual level of diplomacy right there. So yeah, that's
Andre knows he usually tries to find things for me to do, so I get the fuck off Twitter.
Yeah,
because it's a cesspool.
That reminds me, I'm behind on writing videos. So
yeah. Well, it's a good thing I found my other hobby. That's kept me a little occupied. So.
Yeah.
But spoilers, that got me onto that whole thing.
Yeah.
It was like, I got sick and tired of spoilers crap. And I'm like, you know what? I used to know the entire movie because I've read it 3 times over before I walked in the damn doors to see it. Between the cards, the storybooks, the novel, the comic book, we all knew what was going on. Did we read that one that was on screen?
We did.
Okay. Scott Cook says, member for 10 months. Did Disney get government contracts? Seems like they're making a lot of bombs now. Oh, that's a Paul level joke right there.
Yeah, that's a nice one. No, not since World War II that we know of. So yeah. Well, of course, they did have some safety videos and stuff, but no, not in modern times that we know of. Then we have, you got it already. Sorry about that. Mr. Tickletrunk, who says to Alex M, APM is right, to quote Ted Lasso, speaking about being England and being English, geez, how many countries you got in this country? And that was, of course, in reference to the earlier super chat, detailing to culture the different levels or changes between, the countries that are in the United Kingdom, which is always where Northern Ireland always makes it confusing to everyone. Marksman of 117B, he has a comment to your analogy from earlier, Tom. A better analogy, Andre's 4K TV switch. And yeah, I was actually thinking that when you went through the various...
I saw that roll through afterwards and it was already past. We were talking about it, or I would have brought it up then, Marksman. Yeah.
God, I missed my previous TV and I fucking hate this one. It's like this, my current TV is like the Samsung absolute top of the line of the year I bought it. And I kind of like wish that we were doing reviews at Midnight's Edge, because I would review their top of the line TV as the absolute fucking garbage it is. I hate it. Yeah, but anyway, moving on.
Sorry to hear that, man. Like me breaking my TV was one of the best things that ever happened to me outside of not really getting my money.
Yeah, but I had the perfect TV already.
No, I know, right? Like, I get you. Yeah. Like, I had the opposite problem. Like me, it was like I just bought that TV. It wasn't even 6-7 months old when I broke it, and it was a complete freak accident. But now I found this other TV, and this TV I've had longer than that one now. And it's I ended up with a much better TV in the end of the day. I feel like I never got my money's worth out of that other one.
Whereas I got a TV that had HDR, but HDR was not worth it compared to everything I lost.
My only complaint is you would think that they could just have the 3D setting on there because it's not that difficult.
I know, or the upscaling. That was what really bothered me, was like the processing of just regular 1080p and standard definition content, because the previous TV upscaled it beautifully and it looked magnificent. And the new one with HDR, all the stuff that used to look brilliant, everything that isn't 4K looks like garbage on it.
Actually, I think that would just be software anyway. Just like I
It
was
is
gonna
software. It has
same
different.
thing with. Since they figured out how to do 3D passive instead of progressive on TVs, I don't see why they can't just have it on there as a, especially the 4K TV. You can have full 1080p 3D on a passive TV. Like, it makes no sense. But anyway, I'm sorry.
Anyway, it was a choice they made. It has poorer internal processing. Wanted to save money, I guess. But anyway, moving on.
No, I did not throw my Wii remote. That would be a funnier story. It was so dumb. The quickest version is I was going to pick up a Gatorade bottle and I have carpal tunnel, and the bottle literally just slipped out of my fingers and just happened to fly right at the screen. And I didn't think it even did any damage until I started to walk away, and I'm like, no, Tom, you better turn it on and make sure it didn't. And sure as shit, I turned it on and it had that nice spider web crack. But yeah. Anyway, we got this one right, or we didn't.
No,
we did not read it yet. Okay, I just want to make sure we had it on the screen, but we didn't read it. Mr. Tickle Trunk says the original B5 had an unrealized alternate timeline that was averted. JMS wrote the animated B5 many years ago. Unfortunate to release this now is all. Yeah, well, hopefully you guys like it. Like I said, I don't know anything about Babylon 5, so I'm not going to even give an opinion on any of it. I don't want to try. Garfield's Bizarre Adventure says the worst thing about multiverses is the fact that all the time and money invested in a franchise means nothing when it gets erased. Yes. This is also what I hate when something has like it was all a dream, or you start back at the beginning again at the end of the movie. Hint, hint, it's something that's happening in Indy. Anyway, yeah, just kind of like, I hate that. That is, to me, it feels like I just wasted how much of my time for what now?
Too much.
Yeah. The only time I never felt like I wasted my time and it was all a dream was Super Mario Brothers 2, the video game. Stian Munstad sends us a super sticker. Thank you so much for that, Stian. We appreciate it. Adam Wolford says Babylon 5 has done different timelines in the series. The only time they have time traveling was to get humans in Midbury ready for the Shadow War. Well, I wish we had gotten these when Paul was here. I'm sorry, guys. I apologize, but when we don't have 6, I don't keep up to speed with stuff as like I'm able to. Like, she's able to, because I'm dealing with the actual stream too at the same time. So again, I apologize and take full blame. What's your first thought? Says these studios are acting like gambling addicts, putting in $100 billion just to get out a couple million. Somebody please take away the checkbook. Yes, this is a great analogy for what's wrong with Hollywood right now. And the thing is, Wift, is that most producers know this and they realize this, and Script and other people have said that, oh God, they would love to, and in fact, I think Tom Rothman himself said this once, they would love to get the fuck away from these superhero movies and these $200 million bloated blockbuster films, because exactly this is what you just said here. They never really make any money off them at the end of the day, unless you get a rare and random hit like Avatar. Otherwise, the movies that actually make the money are more like Joker.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, you can't spend $200 million, make 500 at the box office, and actually think it's a profit.
But the movies like the Joker, that's winning the lottery.
Yeah, exactly. That's just it. It's hitting the jackpot. But
yeah,
that's less of a gamble at the end of the day. That's somebody actually just playing scratch cards a couple times a week, as opposed to that analogy you just had. What's your first thought with $100 billion, right? Which they're literally doing. Yeah. And the Joker was made for like money you find in the couch.
And even then, they didn't even get all of that back because they were too risk adverse to invest all of that themselves. So yeah, nice going, Walter Hamada.
And what they did there is what we talk about when we say there's these other outside deals that investors that come in early on. That was what that movie was made on, is they sold half or more of the budget to other investors, and those investors got most of that money then at the end of the day. So yeah. Darius Munchausen sends us a super sticker. I'm willing to bet it's popcorn. I had some popcorn last night. Big Daddy MRI also sends us a super sticker. Thank you so much, Big Daddy. And we appreciate also your modding services and all the mods in the chat. I want to thank CC for his extra help today, and Mr. Tickle Trunk, and D-Bud Martin, and everybody who's been here. I'm sure there's more of you than I mentioned, but thank you so much for being here, and appreciate the extra hand today without 6. It's kind of nerve-wracking, but I'm doing my best. Darius Munchausen also sends in another $2 super chat and says DC Dingleberry Central. Oh. Or what is it that Eric July calls it? Dead comics. or Dying Comics or whatever it is. Yeah. Speaking of
Something to
Eric,
that effect.
we're supposed to be having him on Monday, so hopefully you guys can join us on Monday. We're going to talk to Eric July. So yeah, for the first time on Midnight's Edge.
Oh, that'll be fun.
I've been on a few panels with him before, but we've never had him on the channel proper, I don't think. X Morbius says, a little late, but thank you, Andre, for caring about spoilers. While I get what the group is saying about good writing versus a big surprise, getting the smaller surprises from a movie is still fun. It can be X Morbius, but I really think people are way too fucking hung up on spoilers. Yeah. Way too hung up on it.
But we have 1,600 watching right now, and we had more than 2,000 at the time. And if there's just one or a couple who are extra hung up on it, at least I feel they should be warned.
Absolutely. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that, but I feel like the way some people act, like go through some of the comments on that one show I was talking about. I think it was Monday or the Tuesday show or last Thursday show. One of them, people were just going off on me. And I'm just like, you know what? We never had this problem before. I don't even remember spoilers being a thing when I was a kid. There was no such thing as spoilers. The first time I ever even remember anybody getting upset was when they put it on the soundtrack, Qui-Gon dies. Like, you expected him to live? That's what I kept saying to people. Like, why are you acting like, I'm like, I've had the book for the last week and a half or whatever it was, because the novel came out like a week before the movie.
But evidently they didn't, and I say even that was a mistake. But moving on.
I disagree.
Says for $2, baby in microwave equals Indian fridge. Yeah, I do feel that microwave the baby is the new nuke the fridge. I do feel that. And Alex Kurtzman, Dolphin loved my childhood, says for 14 South African runs. Flash director, officially directing Gunn Batman.
This leaked out last week, actually. Yeah. And we'll see about this. I think it's sending wrong signals to people, but
it is, and I don't know that. We'll see how this movie holds up over the course of the box office.
Not only that, but the one James Gunn bringing in old directors from this old regime makes no fucking sense.
Well, that may not be his call. That may be Peter Safran's call.
Maybe. Well,
he was tied to the old regime.
I think these two have a lot in common. If you look at these two, like I think that James Gunn and Andy Muschietti are similar folk. That's.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though. What one has to keep in mind is that Muschietti, he was not free to make the movie he wanted. This is a movie that he made for the studio, and in this particular case, that studio was 3 different regimes with 3 different and competing visions. And he was supposed to couple a movie together under those circumstances when the direction and request or demands of what the movie should be changed several times over the course of its production. Plus, he was stranded with Ezra Miller. That was never his choice. So many things here were not his choice. They were given to him. And he was basically told, hey, here's all these lemons. Now we expect the most amazing lemonade out of this. This is basically what happened. What is going to be different is that the next Batman movie, that's going to be written by James Gunn. The only person he's going to have to deal with right there is James Gunn. Now we can, of course, question if James Gunn's vision and the story that he wants to tell about Batman, is that the right story to tell? That's a different matter. But there will be only one cook in that kitchen, and that's James Gunn.
That's a good point.
Contrast to what happened with The Flash.
I mean, at the end of the day, though, we'll have to wait and see what happens. As far as, I don't necessarily think that the reason I say that this movie's not going anywhere is because there's nothing set up in it. People may think there's things being set up in it, but I don't see anything major being set up in this. Because there's a lot of people going around thinking that the Batman presented at the end is going to be the Batman and Brave and the Bold. I don't see that happening either. It just doesn't make any goddamn sense. They did this just because they had no other ending to do, and the other ending would be even more confusing, because if we guys remember, some of the first photos we got leaked, and this is major spoilers, and the warning's still up on the screen. Some of the first spoilers we got leaked were from that final scene. And guess who was in that final scene that we didn't see here? besides, you know, another Batman was a Supergirl. So that tells you exactly what they were going to do. And the original Batman was, of course, Michael Keaton, as we see here, not the other one.
Which again only goes to show how much the movie changed over the course of the different people that were behind the scenes there. So this movie right here, I don't really hold it on Muschietti. He tried to make lemonade out of lemons. And Gunn has, well, this is not so much
C.D. Stein. Actually, I brought this up because actually I got to correct you on this. He said that Blue Beetle is the first character in the new DCU, but Superman Legacy is the first movie. That is some double speak if I've ever heard it in my life.
I think that's I think that's more a matter of that. Please go see that movie. This movie is going to flop, but go see that one. Let's pretend some level of relevance there. And then we got one more super chat on the topic of spoilers. Dr. Coffernail says, I read the comic book adaptation of Empire Strikes Back a full week before the movie came out. Didn't spoil it for me. Mark Hamill was pissed, though. I have never understood it. I honestly, I hate those comic book adaptations where they come out and they basically spoil the movie before its release. I fucking hate when they do that. I will
Why?
Say that.
Just don't read it, Andre.
No, I don't read it, but still it's out there, which means that you may get spoiled by others who have.
Why does it matter? I'm glad we're having this debate because that's the big thing, and I know we got time to really have it. But I'm of the mind of what Paul and many others have said in the chat. If something is good, it shouldn't fucking matter.
No, I agree. But what if
I knew Judge Dredd was the bad guy in Roger Rabbit going into it before anybody? It doesn't matter. There's no mystery to be solved. It's already solved for me.
No, I know.
But I still enjoyed the movie.
But there may be disagreement about what makes a bad movie. For instance, a bad movie where the one good thing that gives you a kick when you watch it is that end, is like that twist ending. If you get that spoiled in advance, there's literally no reason to see it at all. But you can have a good time that one first time, like The Sixth Sense. It's a one-time movie. When you know the twist, it's no fun. There's no point watching the whole movie.
And to be fair, like I just said in the chat, I do respect others, so I don't try to spoil things on purpose. I never would. I do always try to warn for spoilers, and I do agree. In some cases, like a movie like Sixth Sense, it will ruin the movie if you know it, but that's the problem with Sixth Sense is it doesn't hold up afterwards.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, is it really worth it? Because see, now me, like Memento is a better example of a movie that even if you know the spoiler, you could still rewatch that movie over and over again.
Whereas if you know the spoiler for The Sixth Sense, there's no point in watching it at all. And if you're in the theater, you're about to see it, it can be a really rewarding experience there and then, but that spoiler is going to take that experience away from you.
But a good example...
I'm against spoiling things, at least without warning. So I want...
Well, obviously,
when we do that.
I don't think anybody should be a dick.
Yeah.
But this also goes back to this whole argument that started back with... Can't remember which pundit it was now, and I'm not even going to give him the time of day to give him his name or to name him. But where an individual is thinking people should be prosecuted for putting spoilers out there.
That's insane. I'm not.
That's where I was like, you're going over the fucking line now, dude. Like this is just like, come on, seriously.
People have a fundamental right to be assholes for things that don't matter, and this falls into that. Then we have Action Tom, who says for $20, Tom, Odin descends from Valhalla, taps you on the shoulder and says you can have a 4K smart TV loaded with apps or a 4K monitor that would need a peripheral device. Anything else is death. Which would you choose?
I'm actually somebody who does not use apps on my actual TV. So I guess I'm going to have to go with the second choice.
Yeah, you know what? I will answer this one too. Give me a 4K monitor and a peripheral device any day of the week. I have a smart TV loaded with apps, and I fucking hate that thing.
Yeah, mine's always trying to update, and I hate it.
The only thing I use it for is as a monitor. Every other app that I need, I have in a peripheral device where they're done better. I don't want them.
That's what my receiver is for, is to load everything in. Yeah.
I only need a monitor. And the more smart stuff that has, the worse off I am. I don't want a smart TV. I want my TV excellent picture, high resolution, high processing, but other than that, dumb. That's how I want my TV.
Yeah, because honestly, and I'll try and keep this brief, like one of the main things I hate about this is I use a sound receiver. So because I have multi-channel surround sound. And most TVs, like if you put every app on your TV, then you have to send a sound back out to your monitor for audio. And the smart features on that usually fuck everything up. When I tried doing that, actually running something off my television, I would have volume coming out of the television and my stereo, and then also it wouldn't come through in the full channel surround. Or if I was like using my TV as a hub and then sending that all to my surround sound, it would downplay any of the sounds that I have. Like if it was supposed to be DTS, it would transform it to Dolby instead, which would completely be reconfiguring it and making it sound like, yeah, at the end of the day, I'm with Andre. You want it separate, definitely separate.
I hate smart TVs. Dumb TVs is where it's at.
Yeah.
Gosgard Ferrat sends another $20 saying, because Tom, some people don't want to be spoiled. I don't even watch trailers so I can go in blind. I was spoiled in No Way Home, but I got to see my sister and nephew go in blind and react to it. Yeah, exactly. But
I think you probably enjoyed the film without, even though you knew that stuff going in though too, I bet.
Yeah, but I'm sure he'd enjoy it slightly less because
I get it.
Has been taken away.
I get it. I totally get it. I've had things spoiled for me in the past too, but I've never let it get to me to the point where I let it ruin my experience of a movie. If the movie's going to be good, it's going to be good. If it's not, it's not.
But we're different because we were always pundits.
There is that aspect of it as well. So I also have to look at it from a point of view of even there's plenty of things that I didn't want to know anything about, or I would rather not know so much going into it, but it's just my job.
Exactly, and that's where we are different from those watching. That's kind of like what I say. We started doing this because we love our movies and our genre culture, but by doing what we do, the price that we all pay is that we can no longer enjoy it as fans and consumers. That aspect is taken away.
But yeah,
but I mean, for those of you watching,
yeah. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, and I will always warn. So don't think I'm going to be out there being a dickhole.
With that, I would like to say thanks to everyone who is watching. Please smash that like if you haven't done so already. Check out all of our guests who have been here today, or fellow panelists, I should say. Check out Culture Casino. Check out Mr. Chato. Check out Script Doctor as well, even though he wasn't here. Go check him out. Go head on over to Culture Casino's Friday stream, and Nina Infinity is streaming now as well. So head on over there and say that.
Maybe I'll go say hi to her.
Yeah, maybe I will do so in a while here as well. But for now, we have one more super chat from Canon Falderel, who says for $2, people now are far too precious about spoilers. And with that, it is time for some koalas in the rain.
Spoilers.
Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain, no fucks given. Koalas in the rain, koalas in the rain.
Miguel Farr sends a pointless last-minute super chat tradition by now. Thank you, Miguel. We appreciate it.
No fucks given.